I'm disappointed in every one of you.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to offend you.
I'm disappointed in every one of you.
I kiss you on the mouth.
No, I'm not cool with that. Just, I'm sorry.
One more time.
I'm disappointed in every one of you.
I mean, I'm dealing with degenerate animals.
I'm disappointed in every one of you. Disappointed in every one of you.
All right, come on.
Honestly, I can't do it no more.
I'm disappointed in every one of you.
Let me tell you why.
It's gonna be all right, Nicky. Go ahead, shoot.
You just killed a fucking man.
What are you going to do about it?
You're happy because you got nothing. You don't got a thing. You're happy because you got nothing. You got nothing.
I want to get out of this rat hole. I want to get online. I need
BDA boxing.
All right, this is King Bucho. Welcome to BDA Boxing, the Boxing Debate Arena post-fight show. It's a Sunday show, so we're going to be breaking down some of the fights that took place yesterday night. First of all, shout out to everybody in the chat. Stuart Dals, Dark Hado, JC, Super Sardonic, Punchy, some Rando, Brown Mexican, Earl Stevens. Guys, welcome to the show. Let's get this party started. Oh, by the way, guys, I want to promote the BDA video game channel that we are creating. The BDA gaming channel. The link is in the description of this video. Please subscribe, where I will be playing video games live and I guess offline as well. But it's going to be more interesting when I play online. And hopefully other people can join me. I have a PC, by the way, so I play on PC. So if you want to join me on whatever game, then let's do it. And also, if you have any suggestions about which games I should play, let me know. Link in the chat as well. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Second Renaissance. It's a show where we talk about anything and everything. Politics, the paranormal, social issues. That usually takes place on Rumble because on YouTube, you know how they are. They like to censor you. So check out the Second Renaissance, link in the description. Subscribe. And yes, we will be having more Second Renaissance shows. Mr. BDA will be joining us. I mean, he's kind of busy right now, he said, but he'll be back. And having said that, let's get this party started. Gonzalo, are you there?
Yeah, what's up, Bucho?
What's up, man? All right, let's start with Luis Alberto Lopez versus Michael Conlan. Conlan got stopped with a vicious uppercut in the 5th round. And Luis Alberto Lopez still has that IBF featherweight title, his first defense. What do you think about that fight?
It was an incredible performance. Luis Alberto Lopez is coming into his own. He's got the skills, athletic, good legs. He hits hard and a great chin. So my thinking was, when Conlan sits down and trades, because this is a 12-round fight. It's not like the amateurs. I mean, he was a good amateur. He's a good boxer. But at some point, you're going to have to sit down and trade. And when he sat down on his shots and tried to throw hard with Venado Lopez, Venado Lopez responded and caught him with that left hook. So unofficially, they had given Conlan 2 of the rounds. And I was like, man, that's crazy. I could have given him 1. But it looks like when you're the B side, even though you're a champion, you're not getting any of the swing rounds. But anyhow, in regards to his performance, yeah, dominant performance. A lot of people call him awkward and wild. Hey, man, you can be wild, but is it really wild when you throw and you're landing? I mean, if you throw and you're landing, I mean, what can you say about being wild? You're still being accurate. Oh, well, maybe it's like an unconventional or something that doesn't sit with the way you're seeing things, and what is to be appreciated as far as like, okay, you appreciate something that you like.
It's
that beauty's in the eye of the beholder.
Well, it's that technique, though. He looks a little bit awkward, a little bit like Prince Nassim Hamed. I would even say a little bit more awkward than Prince Nassim, to be honest. But still, I mean, he's getting the job done. He's landing the punches. His defense is not bad at all, though. I see some people criticizing his defense or criticizing him even before the fight. It's a pretty decent defense, in my opinion.
I mean, he's got a tough chin to boot. So when you can take a punch, I mean, I saw him landing first, and Conlan was getting some of the get back. And by the way, when you're landing first, I'm gonna give you more the benefit of the doubt as opposed to the guy that's trying to get his get back. Because basically you're saying, oh, that dude's beating me up. I'm just gonna try to impress the judges by coming back with the 2-3 punch combination after he's done caving my head in just to impress the judges. But the dude, he's coming at you. And anyhow, he's taking a shot sometimes, and he's walking through your shots in order to keep his feet in place and continue marching forward, barreling forward, and fucking knocking you out. I mean, putting his punches together, the power punches.
Right.
So he's knocking this dude like a Conlan. I mean, knocked him out in 4 rounds. What can I say? 5 rounds.
Are you saying he wasn't respecting Conlan's power?
No, he wasn't respecting his power.
Exactly.
And I mean, credit to Conlan. He had everything on his side. He tried to go for it, but he was just no match for Bernardo, who is coming into his own. Like I said, I mean, dude used to play soccer. He's athletic. Guy break dances. He's probably got a strength and conditioning coach by now, and he's getting his team together. So if he's having these dominant performances overseas, what can be expected when he fights locally in Mexico or even Las Vegas with the pro-Mexican crowd? I mean, obviously, you give him a few tomato cans, pat his record, he'll win. He'll knock those dudes out. Maybe give him a tough fighter. And if he's knocking these dudes out in Ireland and England, well, that tough fighter, when he faces those guys, like I said, he's probably going to beat them too. But if not, he's going to give us the exciting fights that we want. And that's what we want to see.
He has momentum right now. And he has, how do you say, racha? How do you say in English?
He's got a streak.
A streak. He has a good streak. That motivates you. And you start building up on that and growing until he loses, I guess. But yeah, he has that streak going. And by the way, Conlan, I mean, this is the second stoppage loss in 14 months. So, and he's 31 years old. Apparently, he's going to take a look at his career and see where he goes. What do you think happens with Conlan now?
I mean, Conlan, he's been brutally knocked out 2 times back to back. So, I mean, what could be expected? He's probably gonna try to go for it one more time, like Lomachenko and some of these other guys that have tried like 3 or 4 times, but failed. And I don't think he goes anywhere. I mean, because that was his hometown, Ireland. He probably had to travel afar to challenge for a world title at 126, especially. He already tried.
And my issue is the power, though. He lacks power. And this was a big factor in this fight, the lack of power, a big handicap. Because, there were moments where he was dominating a little bit there, and he was landing good combinations, but the power just wasn't there. And right after he had a good moment in a round, Lopez would immediately take over. He would be the one on the offensive, and he would really hurt Conlan. So, I mean, power, man, is a skill, and it's necessary, people.
Yeah, he's only getting better. And what you mentioned, Bucho, about him having that streak, that momentum, like in his mind, he's coming to win. He's got that fire. We saw, what's that dude from England, Josh Warrington. He's a rugged dude, and he beat that dude. He beat that dude with everything against him. So now they're calling him the Road Warrior. Yeah, whatever. Okay, whatever. But yeah, he's winning anyways. So he's got that fire where he wants to keep on winning, and he's improving also.
Right. And yeah, the Road Warrior. He's a real Road Warrior. Who else was? What was that guy's name?
Johnson.
Glencoff Johnson was the Road Warrior too. So yeah, we talked about this fight. Anything else you want to mention about this?
I mean, the guy's pretty accurate when he throws and punches from afar. I made an analogy. It's like, sometimes people throw and they're not sure if they're gonna land. They're kind of like, okay, like shooting a free shot in basketball or like a 3-pointer. Yeah, you can land, you could make the shot, maybe you miss, it's 50-50. But when you drive to the basket and you go for a slam dunk, 90% of the time, if some motherfucker don't get in your way, you're slapping the fucking basketball. And when Venado Lopez is throwing, I compare it to that. He's cutting the distance. It's like Canelo Alvarez. They're cutting the distance. They're out to get theirs. They're not going to be denied the punch. So they're driving through the basket and they're fucking slam dunking the fucking the ball. In other words, they're throwing to make the punch land, and that's their mentality. So a lot of times that tough chin helps you out when you want to do that.
Well, definitely. Yeah, because he's able to take those chances. Basically, I mean, to land that punch. We've seen time after time these guys that are very hesitant, and you wonder why they're hesitant. And it's maybe that. Maybe they've been hurt in the gym. Maybe they know, their limitations. And that's why they fight the way they do. Very hesitant. Mr. BDA, if you want to jump in as well, you're welcome. All right. I can't hear Mr. BDA. But yeah, Gonzalo, you make a great fucking point. I mean, there's people in the chat saying that Venado Lopez is pound for pound material. I'm going to say this, though. If he was an African American, and this is the truth, people will be already talking about his greatness, bottom 10 pound for pound power, blah, blah, blah. So there is some bias. That's just my opinion. If you disagree, let me know in the chat or call in after. By the way, we're opening the phone lines in a few minutes. And I would also like to ask people to please like the video. If you enjoyed the video, please hit the like button.
You guys hear me?
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
Yes. Good afternoon. The Venado Lopez, man. I was surprised at how he was able to take out Conlan within, what was it, 6 rounds, 5 rounds? I got to check that out.
Five.
I mean, listen, before the fight, I was thinking, all right, Venado Lopez is more of a mid-range or long-range puncher. He likes to throw a lot of feints. He likes to take his time. He's not like Mauricio Lara, who just swings for the fences when he can. So I was thinking, okay, is he going to be able to take out Conlan? Because Conlan's a good mover. He's got an Olympic pedigree. It's going to be complicated. And it wasn't. He walked the guy down. He set up his shots properly. He was shooting throwaway shots too, which sort of distracted Conlan and set him in place to get knocked out. And then on top of that, I mean, think about that. Lee Wood, I know you guys are going to talk about that later, but Lee Wood can crack too. But it took him 12 rounds to get to Conlan. It really did, and he had to go to war. He almost got stopped himself. He got hurt.
Yeah,
he got badly dropped first. He got hurt into the body late in the fight. He had to rally to get that impressive finish. The fact that Lopez just went in there and knocked it. And also, you know what's interesting about Lopez? He's a strong dude. You look at his upper body, very strong. And then on top of that, I looked at the legs. He's got big calves too. He's got football player calves. Not quite Filipino calves, but close enough. So that's obviously where he gets his power from. This guy's a strong featherweight. And after the Warrington fight, people started saying, myself included, maybe he doesn't hit as hard as Lara does. You know, Lara took Warrington out in 7 or 8, I think.
7.
Whereas Lopez couldn't do it. Right. So I said, maybe Lopez doesn't hit that hard. But evidently, as we saw last night, I think we underrated his power a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And by the way, when you're talking about Lopez, he does look strong, man. He looks fucking strong. I saw a comment that said he looks like a smaller version, like body-wise, of Tommy Morrison. Because he looks fucking giant.
I'm telling you.
Yeah.
Yeah, look at his upper body, his shoulders. The guy is a strong fella, very strong. And like Gonzalo had said, I remember when we were talking about Warrington, because even like going into the Warrington fight, I thought, Warrington could pull it off because Venado's very wild in there, chin up in the air. Yeah. He jumps in with lean hooks. And Gonzalo had said that the danger with fighting a guy like Lopez is that he throws these wild hooks, and they're outside of your field of vision. And that's what he does. He's got that. He reminds me of El Cochulito Montiel. that's what he would do too. He would lead with hooks, right hook to the body, left hook upstairs. So now that guy's looking for the shot, the arcing shot. And then before you know it, boom, he hits you with a straight right. And then before you know it, he leads with the hook again, and this time he drops you because you don't know.
You mix it up. Are you saying you mix it up?
That's essentially what I'm trying to say. Yes, exactly.
Hey, BDA, and I've been watching when he's mixing it up, that uppercut that he throws down the middle, he'll shoot it down the middle, like going upward, right? Obviously, uppercut. Going up, you might be turning and you'll turn right into it, and you'll just throw it down the middle wherever you're turning into it. He'll cut you like down the middle as you're turning into the punch.
Mm-hmm. There's some craft in there. I used to think, like, I knew he was a crafty fighter based on the feints but then also when you got a guy like Lopez who's very unconventional, you also question, well, how good is he technically? I'm telling you, I'm rewatching the highlights right now. I haven't been able to find the whole fight, but from what I remember last evening, and from watching the highlights, the way he was cutting the distance too, because he was what I was afraid of for him, that he was just going to be jumping in, and Conlan was going to see it coming and just dodge it and clinch, or essentially just pivot around him. He didn't do that. He walked him down, which is, that's the interesting thing about it. People can have power. There's guys that can fight on the inside, but just because you can fight on the inside doesn't mean that you know how to get on the inside. Case in point, Jaron Ennis. He can fight on the inside at close quarters, but when it comes to him walking his opponent down, as we saw against Karen, when he fought the Karen, he couldn't do it. So so that's what I was afraid of for Lopez. I was thinking, okay, he can probably fight on the inside. He's Mexican. He can go to the body. He's got power. But can he get on the inside against a mobile fighter? And he showed last night that he did. That was a new wrinkle to his game right there.
Yeah, he got excellent legs because of the soccer that he used to play back in Mexico. So he comes from a soccer background. And not only that, now he got a strength and conditioning coach.
Ah, okay, yeah. Maybe that made a big difference.
He's upgrading, man. More money.
He's upgrading.
Yeah, it's
But you know what? That's what Isaac Cruz, when he fought Tank Davis, some people actually had him winning that fight going into the 12th. But in the 12th round, Davis just spent it being on the defensive. And Isaac Cruz, you could tell he liked the gas tank to really put it on him. And there was a podcast, I think it was a Mexican podcast, and they were talking about how a lot of these Mexican fighters, they don't have the funds that a lot of the Americans want. So they don't have the strength and conditioning coach. They don't have a nutritionist. When you're fighting a top-level guy who has all those things and you don't, in that last round, that nutrition and the high-intensity interval type of training, that can play dividends in the last round. And that's what these Mexicans have to do, man. They have to.
You got to keep it going 12 rounds nonstop. Triple JJ says that's his evolved form. That's the evolved form. Phase 4. No, but it's true. And I remember Juan Manuel Marquez, he's training at some point. I was thinking it was for the Mayweather fight, I think. Remember, he was drinking his own piss. He was drinking eggs, like some weird bird eggs, a drink made of eggs, like quail eggs. And then he was in the mountain, then in the I can't even say that volcano there, picking up rocks, throwing rocks and stuff like that. It's like, what are you, Rocky? What is this, like Rocky 4? You know, he's training in a barn.
You're talking about Popocatépetl. It's exploding right now too, Pucho.
Yeah, it's exploding.
It's live right now.
It's alive. It always happens, but anyways.
Hey, maybe that's why Lopez got the knockout last night, because, you know, the
volcano erupted.
What's the link to the volcano?
But yeah, no, that the old school training, that doesn't fucking work. You gotta go like high tech shit like Americans do. You know?
Well, I mean, you're absolutely right. I mean, Pacquiao, he was a physical specimen when he was at 118, 122. Just genetic freak, the speed, the power, and all that. Then once he hooked up with Freddie Roach, and Freddie Roach hooked him up with those, you know, modern training techniques, took it to a whole other level. He went up to 140. His straps all of a sudden were bigger. Then he went all the way up to 140 and then 147. And it's like Marquez wasn't going to be able to compete with that guy had he not upgraded himself. I mean, it was night and day. The way he looked physically against Mayweather and then against Pacquiao.
Oh, man.
Once he got he linked up with what's his name, Memo. I mean, come
Yeah.
on.
Angel. No, Memo. What's his name? He changed his name multiple times, right?
Yeah, I know.
Oh yeah.
But, but
That's the other one. I forgot his name. That's Memo Heredia, and the other fool. Fuck, I can't remember his name, but yeah, I know you're talking about.
I think Arisa.
But you know what?
Ariza, yeah,
Ah.
Herisa.
Yeah, that was the Pacquiao guy. Yeah, but you know what's interesting about that's why I was so interested in Caleb Plant versus Benavides, because Caleb Plant had the one and only Victor Conte, and then the Benavides had Memo. So it was two guys who have been like Memo was never convicted, but that's because he chose to rat on what's his name, Conte. But by all legally, the guy was caught cheating. So it was two cheaters essentially versus each other. Caleb Plant had Memo. Caleb Plant had Conte, and the other guy had a Memo. So it was which chemist is going to work his magic? Who's going to be able to get their fat? Now, some people say, yeah, but BDA, chemicals don't win you fights. I agree, but it's just we're entering into chemical warfare now, biochemical warfare. It's interesting. Yeah. You're gonna get fighters now who are gonna be going with these guys, and those guys are gonna be fighting with each other, the chemists.
If it didn't work, they wouldn't be using them. If it didn't work, they wouldn't be using them. They wouldn't be these trainers wouldn't this how you call them?
Biochemical engineers.
Yeah, they wouldn't be getting paid this much. There's always this high demand for them for a reason. So
listen, in a perfect world, if you can get all these guys to juice, and it's legal and everybody can juice, it would be fantastic. But as we've said before, the problem is some guys have access to a guy like Conte and Memo. They can afford him, and other guys can't. That's what makes it unfair. And this situation that we have now, where the guys are using these fellas and some can't, and then on top of that, it's not even legal. It just adds more. It just muddies the waters. So it's a shame, but it is what it is.
It is what it is. And in the chat, Eddie Valenzuela says the Conlan sacrifice has pleased the Popocatépetl for now. There you go. And then we have Blue Collar Sports TV. Popocatépetl.
Uh-huh.
Popocatépetl. It means smoke something. I forgot. Blue Collar Sports TV says Conlan is building the reputation of being on the end Conlan is building the reputation of being on the end of entertaining knockouts. Just looks funny when he gets flattened.
Come on.
I mean, well, falling out of the ring is always something special. I think you call it. Isn't it called? You said it's the projectile. What's it called? The ring projectile.
Yeah.
Ring projectile. That's always.
But it's true. He does look a little goofy. I mean, first of all, I think Del Boy's been. That's what happens when he watches too many fucking cartel execution videos. He gets desensitized to all these knockouts. But it's true though. I mean, poor Conlan. I mean, the guy's got no punch. I mean, well, I hesitate to say he's got no punch resistance because the guys who have stopped him can't crack. It's not like he's getting stopped by some Paulie Malignaggi type fighter or type puncher. But I mean, listen, he's made some good money. He's done more than most people ever do in boxing. In terms of he got a Olympic medal, he got a title at the pros. So
I thought he was younger.
But yeah,
he's 31.
Yeah,
like in my mind, he was still like that prospect guy, like in his 20s.
Well, he went twice. He went to 2 Olympic games, so he didn't turn pro.
I noticed when he sat down on his shot, when he threw the hardest punch that he could muster in the 5th round, like when he fucking threw as hard as he could. That's when he got knocked out, and I'm kind of wondering, maybe because he threw with so much force, it takes something out of you when you try so hard that it weakens you. It weakens you for the counter, and that's when Venado got him. That's why when you sit down and trade, in my opinion, that's when you're more vulnerable. Because if you punch out, you exhale all that force out your body, it drives your power bar down, where you're more vulnerable.
Yeah, like your stamina type of thing.
Yeah, that's a good point, man. That's a good point, yeah, because it's that's what they say. When you're looking for the knockout, you're not going to get it all the time. But when you're throwing relaxed, but with snap, those are the dangerous shots. But I'm looking at the replay of that uppercut that ended the fight. It's a stiff shot, man. You can tell he's punching through the target, but he's stopping the punch at the right time as well. He's not just, if he would have missed with that punch, his arm wouldn't have gone flying up in the air. This guy's a stiff puncher, man. And if you watch his videos,
Yeah, go ahead, finish.
If you watch it when he hits the mitts, you can see that puff, he stops the punch at the right time while punching through the target, and it's fucking scary, man.
He has that
Yeah.
chi energy. He has the energy inside. We're going out of like, but it's true though. I remember Don King once saying that Mike Tyson, he has that chi, that energy inside, and it's true. Some boxers, it seems like they have this energy from like Tyson, Ian Golovkin, but Inoue for sure has that, and but Lopez has it, man. That like, just explosiveness. I don't even know how to describe it, man.
It's explosive. It's like that whole thing I was mentioning. It's like when somebody can hit that hard, but then like he got you on the back foot, then you're gonna say to yourself, okay, I need to fucking sit down and trade and throw as hard as I can to get this dude off me. That's a lot of mental pressure, physical pressure. That shit'll wear you out, man. And that's what I'm trying to say. That's one quality that Venado has. The whole combination of the strength, athleticism, the chin, and the punching power. You combine all the things, it's a lot to deal with. So he's gonna give a hard fight to any of these dudes. I don't care if it's Drovesi, Mauricio Lara, any of the 26-pounders, Leo Santa Cruz, even if he moves up to 30. And he's only improving. One thing else, PDA, Bucho, his pay scale went up. I would think so, right? He went from like $100,000 fighter to maybe like $200,000-300,000. So obviously, if he already got that fire because he's been wanting to win, he's got the passion for boxing. I think he's gonna still continue to go on a roll because he's gonna cherish the fruits of his labor, right? It's like when Rocky started getting all those things and he bought himself the car and the fucking leather jacket.
Yeah, hopefully he doesn't. He stays focused. Hopefully.
You know what? You mentioned Robeisy Ramirez, the Cuban gold medalist. He's the one that beat Shakur Stevenson in the amateurs, and he recently, I don't know if he won a title or if he already has a title, but he looked very good against Supernova. I mean, that Supernova is no pushover, and Ramirez knocked him out in the 5th round. Then he fought Isaac Dogbo, and in his last fight, and Dogbo gave him. I mean, Ramirez, it seemed like if he opened up and would have been consistent with his attack, he would have maybe stopped Dogbo, but he didn't. And it's interesting. Ramirez is a very quick fighter. He's got a lot of physical talent. He's much more, I would say, composed than Venado Lopez. I think a little bit better technically. But I don't see him having that drive of, hey, let me go chase this guy out. And not get, he showed it against Supernova, but like I said, against Dogbo, he sort of stepped off the pedal. So I don't know, man. Maybe that Lopez intensity could be the difference if they ever fought. But then again, the problem, actually, it's not a problem, right? They're both with Top Rank, I think. Isn't Venado Lopez with the Top Rank, or who is he with officially?
Yeah,
I'm not sure.
I saw Bob Arum right there ringside in Ireland.
Hey, that's you. So what's the possibility that they make that Robeisy Ramirez fight next?
Yeah, very likely. Unification bout.
Yeah, he's
I
a
didn't see that Robeisy Ramirez guy, and like at first he didn't impress me like a whole hell of a lot, and still he like really doesn't. But what I noticed is like basically whatever the opponent's doing, he matches that. So he doesn't really stand out because he's kind of like mirroring what the other guy's doing. So he's kind of going neck and neck or like at the same speed. But all of a sudden he'll beat you at what you're doing, and that's when he picks it up. He rises up a notch a little bit better than what the opponent's doing. So you can very like slightly, you can't really tell the difference until he gets it done. So basically he's getting the timing down. He's reading what the opponent's doing, and all of a sudden he just bests you. He bests you, but really he doesn't look spectacular. Doesn't mean that he's not good. But with Venado Lopez, he's more frenetic. Can he match that freneticness? Probably not. We saw some dude named, I believe his name was Adan, or like in his first professional fight, he beat him, right? Then he avenged the loss. That dude was a little dude.
You know what? First of all, I want to go back to what you said, Gonzalo, about Ramirez sort of fighting to his opponent's style. One thing I will say about that too is he's got that Yuriorkis Gamboa problem, which is that he's so talented, physically talented, that it almost seems as if he thinks, well, I can get this guy out whenever I want to. And he's a front runner, like a lot of Cuban boxers. And so after the first 3 rounds, if he doesn't take the guy out, it's almost like he's thinking, okay, I'm going to get him out eventually, but let me just not spend all my bullets. I don't know. That's why that's the feeling I got against Dogbo. And like you said, when he fought, I think his name was Gonzalez, Adan Gonzalez, in the first fight, he got dropped in the first round. It was just a 4-rounder. So as soon as he got dropped, he had to really do something exceptional in the last 3. And he didn't seem focused in that fight. And then, of course, in the rematch later on, I think it was about 2 years later, then he stepped on the pedal and he really did hurt the other guy to the body. But he didn't take him out either. And what was Adan Gonzalez? He was, like you said, diminutive fighter, but very quick, very agile. And those are qualities that Lopez has. And on top of that, he can crack. And he's got that ability. He's got that frenetic pace that he can set to himself. So.
Oh, the dog. I thought you were going to say the dog.
Nah. I was thinking about that. Saying I'm not gonna fucking say that.
Hey, man, Lopez has a dog, man. Lopez has
He's got the deer,
The deer.
He got the deer.
By the way, people in the chat who don't know, venado means deer in Spanish, so that's why we keep. Right. That's why I keep typing or posting, I should say, emojis of deers. There you go.
Hey, but fellas, wouldn't it be better financially? Because Luis Lamid okay, top rank. They're both within top rank. It would be easier to make rather. But wouldn't it make more sense financially? Put him in there against fucking Wood. Try to avenge Lara. Again, keep the Mexico-UK rivalry going, and it would certainly attract more people if they do it in the UK. So, wouldn't that make more sense for top rank?
Let's start now. Let's talk about the next fight that took place yesterday in Manchester. Vacant WBA featherweight title, Lee Wood Lee Wood won a unanimous decision over Mauricio Lara. So there was a second round knockdown where Mauricio hit the canvas, and we know the rest. Time to talk about how the Mexican lost this fight. Gonzalo, give us your take on this fight.
That fight was really an eventful. The moment I found out about all them extra shenanigans, or in the UK or in England with the boxing board of control, with the British boxing board of control, I lost interest for that fight, to tell you the truth, because the dude was 2.5 pounds away from making 126 like 3 or 4 days before on Wednesday, and they said the less you can come down to is 128. In other words, I don't know how much he was weighing on that day when they went to check him, but they said you cannot come under 128. But really, the end game is you have to make 126. So basically, he was like 2 pounds away. Well, the difference was 2 pounds. They said, but you cannot fucking go over 128. You can't come down less than that. Which is like, okay, well, that's their rules. But in other words, he lost the
belt.
He lost the title. He lost that title on that Wednesday. And not only can you not defend your title, that's really got to take out the desire, to really fight, that fire inside of you. It's like, man, I can't even defend my title any longer. So that's crazy, for one. And now, what is it, dude? Connor, what's the dude's name?
Lee Wood?
The trainer? No, the trainer.
Ben Davison.
Yeah, Ben Davidson. He said there's got to be some concessions that Lara and his team have to make. But they said we can't really speak on that. And they didn't really clarify. There was no transparency. But something did happen. I don't know what it was really, but I'm thinking that maybe Lara couldn't rehydrate. All the while, I think that Wood probably could, because they didn't tell us what really happened. In other words, they dehydrated him. And that was fucking funny, man, to tell you the truth. So kind of being in the dark as a fan, not understanding everything, the ins and outs, I was like, man, this is fishy. Right, and I just lost interest for the fight.
Right now,
you know what? Go ahead,
I just want to get this clear because I'm confused about everything that happened. I was like, what are you guys talking about? Like, not you guys, but yesterday on the internet. So Earl Stevens in the chat says he was weighing in at 133 on Wednesday. And then they told him that he can only lose weight all the way down to 128 or something like that. Is that what happened?
Yeah, there you go.
Okay.
That's what I was.
5 pounds. Okay, so by Wednesday night, he should have weighed how much? Like 130 max? 131? Like I don't understand. Like where? And how come he didn't know these rules?
Okay, let me put it into perspective. I was listening to Un Round Más with Eric Morales and Marco Antonio Barrera.
Yeah.
The podcast came out about a month ago, but I just went back and watched it last day. And what Lara was saying, and this was, mind you, it was about a month ago, that he's used to cutting from 66 kilos down to 126 in 1 month. Well, that's what he said when he got the call for the first Warrington fight. He went down from 66 kilos. That must be like 150 pounds, maybe a little over. From 150 plus pounds down to 126. The first time when he got the call, it took him 1 month. And then he said also that usually he cuts like 11 pounds, which is like 5 kilos in 1 week. Basically, that's like the pattern of his weight cutting.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, he's used to doing it one way. Not all bodies are the same. But now the British Border Control told him, well, you got to do it this way. And I'm just kind of wondering, did they forewarn him? Hey, you got to make this benchmark. We're going to weigh you on Wednesday. How many days before did they tell him, okay, we're going to weigh you? Or did they maybe not tell him? And did they surprise him? And if they walked in on him, did he have a meal before? Or like, I know he flew over there. So when it's daytime over there, when he flew from Mexico, it was night over here. So it not only is your world switched upside down, you get there and you're expected to make all these stipulations. And
Yeah,
that's
no,
crazy,
exactly,
man.
Gonzalo. I mean, did they tell him before, like weeks in advance, like these are the rules? Make sure that on Wednesday you're weighing this amount, because I mean, did they surprise him like you said? And then in the chat, Earl Steven says he doesn't even speak English. I mean, who knows? I mean, obviously,
he's in a foreign. Think about it. He's in a foreign country. He doesn't speak the language. He doesn't know the specific rules and regulations that they have over there. I don't know. It was a shit show. Was he overweight? Let's say he was. Let's not give. Let's say we take away the benefit of the doubt and say, well, he wasn't. He hadn't made the weight. Blah blah blah. Why are these people so concerned? That's what irks me up. It's like, well, not irks me, but makes me suspicious. Rather, it was like, why would they say, well, for your safety, we're not going to allow you to dehydrate as much as possible? So I don't know. It was weird. But then again, look, Lara. In the first fight, he wasn't really pushing the pace either that much. And I suspected that it might have something to do with the way. But then again, that's the thing though. Look, listen, like I said on What Rapid, just because you can't judge a guy based on how he looks necessarily. In other words, if a guy is really dehydrated, maybe sometimes you can see it, blah, blah, blah. But in the first fight, he actually looked worse at the weigh-in than he did this time. Maybe that's because, again, he came up a little overweight this time, whatever. And then on fight night, he didn't look bigger than would. Normally, if a guy says, fuck the weight, I'm going to come in at whatever weight I want, he's going to look a little bigger. But then if he didn't look bigger, then that's what, like Gonzalo said, maybe they stuck a rehydration clause on him the night before and say, okay, listen, since you failed to make the weight, now you're going to have to really stay dehydrated up until fight night. And that might have played a factor into it. I don't know. It's like, look, if he fucked up with the weight, he fucked up. But there's just so many things weird now with the weigh-in that it casts a lot of suspicion and aspersion on the actual fight itself. And I just can't tell if it was on the up and up.
Well, Joe in the chat says, Bucho, it has nothing to do with his weight. It has to do with the hydration levels. Lara fought over the UK before. He knows the rules. Well, I don't know. I mean, if he knows the rules, then I don't know why he would come in at he would wait at 133 on Wednesday, unless he just didn't give a fuck. I mean, just who knows, man? And who knows? I think this is the first time I see
But that's
this,
the thing, though.
Yeah.
About the fight itself, though, I mean, Lee Wood's got balls, man. The way he went at Conlan, fighting from behind on points and then rallying to fucking knock him out of the ring. This time, though, he fought the way they say, which is, win this one, look good in the next one. That's essentially what his philosophy was. Like, I don't want to get caught again. I'm just going to do the bare minimum to win this fight and outpoint the guy. And even then, he was outpointing him because Lara wasn't throwing anything. But even then, Wood wasn't exactly. He was connecting one right hand at a time, one jab to the body at a time. And it was a boring fight. Again, I can't take too many points away from him because I know usually he's more entertaining, Lee Wood, that is. And he did what he had to avoid getting knocked out again. But man, it was just from a standalone point, it was a boring fight.
Did Wood do the same thing as in the first fight? Because it looked like he was just doing the first same thing.
He was scared. He was scared to engage, and I get it. He didn't want to give Lara the opportunity to counter, to land. He was being very safety first. Lara looked sluggish too, and I'm thinking that once again, with all them shenanigans, they wanted that title from Lara at all costs. They wanted to avenge all the losses that the British had been taking from. Why not say the Mexicans, man, been going over there and fucking them up? But now, okay, they wanted to avenge all those losses, but can they really be proud and say, hey, we can bask in our glory. We're going to go to the bar in Sweet Carolina because we got the victory. No, not really. Not really, dude, because with all them shenanigans that they pulled, the fix was in, dude.
You know, it's interesting when you look at boxing, you can, or any type of conspiracy, because conspiracies are real. The people that go, conspiracy theory, well, you're a coincidence theory. That's what I call a lot of these people, coincidence theories. Everything's just a coincidence. But boxing, though, it is such a screwed up sport that you do wonder where the line between, when you wonder whether there's a line between incompetence and malice. And in this scenario, I don't know what it was. I mean, with the Conor Ben thing, the fact that I think they're going to let him fight again, even though he was caught using whatever he was using. It's just, it's weird, it's bizarre. But, and yeah, I don't know if yeah.
No, I was just saying, this is what Gonzalo was saying yesterday. Did you guys hear it?
They're always singing. Yeah, they're always singing a Sweet Caroline. It's like, man, come on, can you give it a rest, man? And there were 3 UK cards last night, so I actually had to mute in between fights when they showed the crowd and all that, because I just couldn't stand hearing that fucking song again, man. If I hear that song again, I don't know, but it ain't gonna be pretty.
Somebody mentioned on the Discord that Ben Davison and Lee Wood are real buddies with Eddie Hearn. At least it seems like that. So yeah, they're gonna. I'm not saying that they're not gonna show a lot of hospitality when he arrives. Like, yo, here's a water. What do you need? A couple treat you good at the hotel room. But as far as like letting him know the inside scoop about the ins and outs in regards to like giving him a fair fight, I don't think they did that. It's kind of like snide and underhanded. Yeah, we're gonna be nice to you, just to make it seem like we're really nice, but that's the worst, man. Like you said, BD, he don't even speak English. So I kind of get the sense that they fucked him over.
Well, we have a super chat from I'm Famous. He says, commissions need to step in and ban rehydration clauses. Fighters are never able to fight well when they are dehydrated. Good point.
You know, I'm at the point now, and I've said this before, they should bring back same-day weigh-ins, because the same-day weigh-in was eliminated because they thought, well, we're going to fight. I think it was after Barry McGuigan murdered that Korean guy. I think that was the fight that changed everything. And they went back, they said, okay, let's give these guys extra time to hydrate. But then the problem is now, you got guys that go in there that dehydrate themselves so much, sometimes that extra 24 hours to hydrate isn't enough. And they go into the fight still dehydrated or with too much. I forget exactly what the explanation was from Dr. Margaret Goodman, who said that it's dangerous now what these guys are doing. It's actually more dangerous than it was before. I'd like to see the statistics and see if there were actually more deaths prior to the modern weigh-in experience than the same-day weigh-in. Because the same-day weigh-ins, everyone would be fighting at their own weight or near their weight. They wouldn't be cutting that much weight. I mean, think about it. If you have to weigh the same day, you're not going to have these fucking insane 25-pound cuts that some of these guys do nowadays. So it actually might be safer. So I'd like to see the statistics, and this type of, the same-day weigh-ins might eliminate the hijinks that we're seeing, because it's been about more than 30 years, I think, since they've implemented and used this modern weigh-in with the 24 hours to rehydrate, or even more sometimes if you're an Afro-Anglo and get a little privilege. But I mean, it's dangerous, man. They're cutting so much weight, and sometimes that extra 24, 36 hours ain't enough. And it's fucking dangerous the next day for himself or for the other guy if the rehydrating fighter is too big. So, yeah, this will eliminate a lot of problems.
All right, Lee Wood
I was going to mention one more thing.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, Bucho. It's going to say this. And the reason that it's not that I'm getting all conspiracy theory, and the reason I go out on the limb and say that there's shenanigans there, if you like reading between the lines, because if you connect the dots, it's not just that. The fucking cucking from the commentators. These swing rounds are always going to the A side. Even if you're a champion and you're going, the A side's getting the swing. It's not even half and half. The dude that's the local fighter is getting all the swing rounds. So if you connect the dots, this little bit here, that little bit there, it's all part of a pattern. So obviously you gotta assume they're not doing anything for the B side. It's not favoring the guy that they want to see to kind of control the narrative.
Right.
Exactly. That's a good point.
They
And by
wanted
the
to
way,
make Conlan Wood. That's what they wanted. They wanted to make Conlan Wood in the UK. But Mauricio Lara ruined their plans.
it wouldn't surprise me, Gonzalo. It is boxing, and they do the people dirty in this sport. But Hassam in the chat saying it wasn't Barry McGuigan, it was Boom Boom Mancini. Yes, thank you. It was Boom Boom
Yeah, it's
that
Boom Boom.
murdered the Korean guy. It sort of reminded me, like, he murdered the Korean, like the Korean overcharged him for flowers. The Korean market.
Oh,
they
man.
tend to do that. Maybe
No,
that's
but no.
how Mancini felt.
All right. Lee Wood, he's 34 years old. So his career is pretty much coming to an end. But he wants a few fights before he retires. He wants to fight Warrington in a stadium in the UK. I mean, that would sell for sure, a Warrington fight. But he also wants to unify. So he also called out Venado Lopez. So that's good. A unification fight is what I want to see. And before we move on, Jimmy's here. Jimmy, are you there?
Yes, sir.
Let's get Jimmy. Jimmy, did you get a chance to watch any of these fights yesterday?
Oh, yeah.
All
I
right.
got to watch them.
Well, let's just go. Let's start with just your take on the Luis Alberto Lopez Michael Conlan fight.
I was never big on Conlan. His lack of power, I thought was always going to be a problem. And, yeah, he seemed to, I don't know, he gets hit too easy. I just thought it was a matter of time, at the pro ranks. Without that power, as your career goes on, you know what I mean? It just, and you're apt to take shots like that. So, I mean, I don't know why the fucking UK people keep on fighting Mexicans, man. It's just like, what are you guys, crazy? I mean, Christ, how many times have been knocking out the fucking UK guys lately? But, so yeah, I'm not surprised by that outcome at all. Surprised they threw they must have saw him fall. They didn't like the way he fell, or he was in the corner saying before he got knocked out that he was feeling hurt, because, I mean, the minute he went down, that towel came fucking floating in pretty damn quick. As far as the Woods, I mean, that dude, man, he fought. It's just a kid who missed weight. Although I think the way they fucked with him about not allowing him to rehydrate was a little bizarre. But that kid seemed like mailing in. He just seems disinterested. You know what I mean? Like, that performance last night was a joke. I mean, was it like, well, I have no chance of winning the belt, so I'm just going to mail this in? But
Well, he was trying to look for that one knockout punch or something again. Just it never came. So he lost the fight.
Not a very like fucking good effort of trying to even set it up. But just wing it every now and then. He seemed more willing to want to tap him, give him a dap after the round and stuff. Like, yeah, I bet you if people who know him would say he's a strange cat, because I get really weird vibes from that dude. But he can punch.
Yeah, but Jimmy, what you're trying to say, and I get you, man. That's what I tried to explain. Couldn't quite say like the way you do. It's like he's not fighting like a champion no more. He's championless, right?
Yeah, exactly, brother.
So the
Jimmy,
mental aspect.
So Venado Lopez, he's this is a loaded division, 126. You still got Ray Vargas, who tried his hand at 130, his third weight division, couldn't quite pull it off. You've got Lara still in there. You got Wood. You got Robeisy Ramirez, who's with Top Rank as well, along with Venado Lopez. That's the fight that some people would perhaps assume is next, because with the same promotional company. What do you think? Do you like Robeisy Ramirez? What do you think about him, and what do you think about the Ramirez Venado Lopez fight if they make it?
I mean, I think Lopez would beat him. Is that the kid who stopped Woods? Stopped Conlan?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he'd beat him. If we're talking about the same people, I could be confusing the issue too, honestly. And if I was Lomachenko, I know he's 35, but if he wanted to hang around, if he has any fight left in him, personally, I think he should tell the sport to go fuck itself. But if he was to
No.
fucking want to put himself through it again, I'd go down to 135 and clean it out. He could become unified down there, but
To
you know what
130.
I mean, what's that?
You said 130? 130. Lomachenko to go
Yeah,
down to
130.
1. Yeah, 130.
Go to 130.
Yeah, but
You know what I mean?
why would he? I mean, I know that. I don't think he would
Yeah,
even
exactly.
want to do that.
Why
Yeah.
would he? Why would he even want to? I'd personally tell this sport to fuck. I mean, we saw what the robbery of Triple G. Like, people should realize, completely got Triple G. It just took it out of him after that. He was just, and then the second fight, I think maybe he kind of put it into the second one, figuring if I can, win the second fight. And I personally think at best, that was a draw, and he got robbed in that one too. Well, give him a loss. And after that, he just said, fuck it. I'm only here for the money. And you can't do that to somebody. I mean, rob people like that at that level, and, to take a kid's dream. He worked everything for that. So, yeah, if I was Loma, I'd just fucking walk away. He's already in the Hall of Fame. He knows the people who really respect and love the sport know he won the fight, and the other people who just can't stand seeing someone who doesn't look like them win, who really gives a fuck what they think. But that's just my spiel.
Yeah, going
You can tell I'm
backwards.
so bitter.
Going backwards, Jimmy, would kind of look awkward, or like, I mean, somebody's mentioning his pride. It's like it would almost seem to him that I wasn't good enough at 35. That's the reason I'm going down. The only one that I've
Yeah.
seen do that is the female, Clarissa Shields, for a girl. She went backwards. She went from
But
middleweight, started gaining the belts. But the lack of pool of talent in the women's boxing is different.
Yeah, and I would say to them, well, he was dragged up to 135, a class he shouldn't have been in. Listen, that night, the fact that they let him with no rehydration clause step on a scale 36 hours before the fight. So that means he could have slept out of those 36 hours, 12 hours, 14 hours of sleep. How much size he could have put on. I mean, he was a welterweight in there that night. That's what made that, like, I just watched the Mario and Steve Lopez and Steve Kim podcast earlier this morning, and they really hopped on that. Like, I mean, how big he was compared to Loma, which made the robbery, in Mario's opinion, even more egregious. The fact that they took it from him when he repeated all the same talking points we have. But so I would say,
almost-
yeah, no, that's the weight class he should be in. But what's that, BDA?
Yeah.
It's almost as if the people that know boxing are all on the same page. Yeah, I don't know. It's weird, huh?
But I just want to mention the Quacks. He says Donaire went down in weight. It's true. He went back down.
Yeah, I
man.
was going to mention that.
Yeah, I forgot about that. Also, I want
But
to.
he didn't get the title back. He didn't get the title. Did he?
True.
He started losing. He was undefeated at 18, but when he went down, fought.
Did he win a
lost.
title?
Oh, he did. He beat he beat the Armenian dude. He got one of the belts.
Hey, Senpai Leo, shout out to Senpai. He says, assuming Navarrete beats Valdez, Loma fighting Navarrete would be fun, in my opinion. Shout out to Senpai for reestablishing his membership there. I'm loving. Let's Go Champ in the chat says, when British fans swing Sweet Caroline, it's cringy as fuck. Bunch of homosexuals. All right, listen. First of all, yeah, like I said, I'm tired of that same fucking song. But no, man, listen. The British audience is one of the best, man.
It's the best.
No, we're gonna talk about it later. The Okoli fight, which I didn't even know was happening. It wasn't even on the ESPN boxing schedule. They had 15,000 people there for that fight. 15,000 for a guy that's not even that well known outside England. I'm telling you, without the UK audience, boxing just wouldn't have the flavor, the same type of flavor that he has now. They're singing, even throughout the Conlan fight. They were singing throughout the fucking fight. I mean, look, they create a fantastic atmosphere over there. Are they all? Are most of those people in the audience drunk? Yes. Is Sweet Caroline grating to the ears now? Yes. But come on, man, it's better than the Japanese audience. I mean, the Japanese audience, he has its own flavor too, where they stay very silent.
Sucks, man. It
and
sucks.
they ooh and
Quiet.
only when something's happening. But I mean, it's different strokes, man.
And Jason Green says we definitely are drunk. Jason Green says we're definitely are drunk. Of course, I see the beers and yeah, you're having a good time. Not gonna
If I were there, If I
would
was
be
surrounded
drunk
by
as
all those
fuck, man. I want to go
drunk
to the
linies,
UK and watch a fight over there.
I want, yeah,
But
I want to go
just
to the UK without announcing and drop by unannounced on Stu, see what he's up to.
And that guy,
happy to-
Amadi, the British announcer, the guy with the dreads that go down to his ass. My God, his announcing style drives me crazy.
Jimmy, that's what I keep saying it all the time on Discord.
Fans.
Man, here's the
Right,
thing though.
dude?
Boxing is classy. That's why we had Michael Buffer, right? You know, there's class. Everything is there. The way he says, "Let's get ready to rumble," and then in the UFC you have Bruce Buffer, who he's just creating. I can do that. Anybody can. You know, it's so for Diamante to be doing the same thing as the UFC, it doesn't fit, man. He has to practice and come with a new delivery that's classy. You don't have to yell, start now. Like seriously.
And then he yells at you too. It's not that he just says it once. He said the fight's not. I said, like, you know what I mean? Like,
Oh
okay,
yeah. I said, if you didn't hear me the first time, like here's the second time. Like,
the fight starts now.
Terrible.
The guy with the long hair.
Yeah.
He just recovered from like a motorcycle accident, I think, or a car, but I think it was a motorcycle.
Well,
Yeah,
That probably has a lot to do with the way he yells. Because if he got something pinching his back, for example, because he had back surgery, I read it somewhere. Yeah, that's why he sounded like that. That's pain.
They accused him of faking that, right?
I'm not sure.
No, but
No, I'm serious. Yeah, people on the internet, on Twitter, I think, were accusing him that there were some discrepancies with his story, and they were claiming that he'd exaggerated the extent of his injuries. And he actually
wasn't it like Prince Harry there, and then his wife there, whatever? They were exaggerating that they were being chased by the paparazzis or something.
Yeah, a 2-hour chase in Manhattan.
2 hours.
You can't chase on what, on foot? You clowns. Like,
oh my God.
That's disgusting. But no, with that Amadi guy, what did his hair get caught in a fucking motorcycle chain?
Yeah.
come on.
You shouldn't be driving like that. Like
Yeah, but
yeah.
but like what Jimmy was saying about Diamante is like, are you ready? I said he sounds like a drill sergeant that's pissed off with his troops. And the other thing is,
disgusting.
nobody beats Bruce Buffer in terms of range. I mean, he's the fact that he gets into the fighters' faces, and the people like it over there now because he's been doing it for so long. It's almost like it's part of the tradition to have this guy screaming and spitting in people's faces. But yeah, it's like Bucho said, anybody can really scream.
It's boxing has class. It's classy. I want to keep it out. I mean, obviously in the crowd, anything goes, right? But still, I mean, you go to one of these fights in Las Vegas, you dress up nice, right? You don't dress like a bum. That's how I want to keep it. What about Senpai?
Yeah, Mike Buffer, he punches the guy's hands too, as he says their name. Goes over and he daps them with the fighter on the UFC. He punches their hands like hard too. He gets himself so worked up, jumping around like a child.
You see on cocaine, Jimmy?
It would help.
I saw somewhere yesterday. I think it was his birthday yesterday, actually. Now you guys are talking about it. He turned 66, I believe. The half brother.
Yeah, half brother.
They found themselves later in life, I guess, after they started announcing, which is odd. But yeah, I mean, you got Michael, who's just class, stands with that tux. Are you ready? You know what I mean? Like he just, delivers it with class. Although I remember when he first started out, he was horrific. He was horrible. I remember when he was calling the fights before he started. He got his, you know what I mean? Let's get ready to rumble.
Oh wow.
Boy in the chat says David Diamante is an absolute disgrace. Bottom of the barrel, dirty looking clown. Okay, what the fuck? Del Boy's vicious today, man. He's not holding back.
What's wrong with
but what about that? Is
Del Boy on the attack?
I don't have that big problem with the guy.
Oh,
he has a good voice. No, Diamante has a good voice.
He just Marley. He had all kinds of like species of like lice and whatever.
Yeah, I heard that story, man. Yeah, I heard that story. Species that have never been seen before. That's the rumor. By the way, Senpai said that Valdez against Navarrete, did we address that? Yeah, there would be a good fight. But again, I don't want to see Loma go back down in weight. There's no point. He would probably win over there. And he needs a rematch, in my opinion. But anyways, we're not gonna talk about that fight again. Okoli lost by majority decision in an upset against Chris Billam-Smith. From what I didn't watch a fight, unfortunately. From what I heard, it was a boring ass fight. So I mean, I'll catch some highlights. To be honest.
What else is new with that dude? Seriously, Okoli. That's all he does is put on boring performances.
Yeah.
And my thing is this: why would he have left Matchroom to go to Sky? Everybody who holds a belt at the division he fights in is with the company you were with. So you go and sign with Sky, who doesn't have anybody of note that fights. So like you ran away from the competition and then turned around and saying, "Well, I wanted to fight. I want to fight on an app." Like that's the reason why you're not pulling numbers. No, dude, it's because you're an unaccomplished, boring fuck, and now you've been exposed. Have a
Blame
nice
everybody else, Jimmy. Blame everybody else.
Dude.
Blame everybody else but yourself.
Yep.
I really wanted to see him fight Brady's or other what's his name? Onomatopoeia. But last night, I listen. I didn't even know, like I said, that the fight was happening. I thought it wasn't on the. When you go to ESPN.com, they have a schedule, and it's not just for ESPN fights; it's for every televised fight that's going to be taking place, or almost all of them. And I've missed a couple of fights now because of that list is lacking in totality. That being said, I was able to find the fight, the Okoli fight, and I watched some of it. And I say some of it because it was one of the most boring fights I've seen in a while. The amount of clinching. So I think he got 2 points deducted, or at least 1 point deducted for the clinching, on top of a shitload of warnings, and on top of him getting dropped 3 times. This guy, I actually had to rewind the sequence because it was so unbelievable. I think it was in the 11th round before he got dropped. He threw a jab. The other guy slipped it. And Okoli immediately clinched. Now, if I show you the clip, guys, I'm going to try to find it. You can tell that Okoli practices that clinch. He's just so good at, as soon as a guy gets inside, he ties him up and just clinches them and clings onto them for dear life. It's unbelievable. He clinched the guy, and the other guy was trying to pull his arms out, trying to get out of the clinch, and this guy just kept on going, following him around. While clinching, it was disgusting. Every 2 seconds there was a clinch. You can tell this guy is not used to getting hit because he's so tall. He's used to keeping guys on the outside. But as soon as they break through that and he gets...
All right, I think we're back. I think...
Should I continue fasting? Or if I'm going to be working out steadily, should I just start eating again?
I'm not a big fan. I'm not a big fan on, just my personal big fan.
Yeah, I feel fatigued. I feel fatigued, man.
Get an echo going. Are we back?
Yeah, but I'm gonna end the show. It's fucking up like terribly. I don't know why. It's pretty bad. It's pretty bad. Okay, hold on. Let me check. All right, guys, we're back. I don't know what the fuck happened. Like it disconnected, reconnected, disconnected, reconnected. Like it's weird. All right, I think we're back. I mean, we are back, but I'm just trying to see if it's gonna fuck up again. Let's see.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's fine. All right. Well, we broke down all fights, so I just have one issue here. One piece of news. Fury and Anthony Joshua are in talks, according to Eddie Hearn. There's no contracts have been sent yet, but they are talking. Fury versus Anthony Joshua. What do you guys think about that?
Well, it's Fury. It's figuring why not. I mean, he's already lost twice now. About 3 times. So he's like, I think he's going after the wounded animal. Plus, I think Fury's having the realization that he can't. What is he going to do? Fight Derek Chisora for a 4th time? I mean, really, his options are limited. I mean, he's not going to get paid the same money for like Wilder for. You know, so I mean, I would think that's like if he's probably wants to get the fuck out of the game. I don't think he's ever wanted to fight Usyk.
Now
I think,
it's about the money, right?
Yeah, that's all it is. He's just
Now-
chasing the pound.
Do you think who's the spender? He or his wife or both?
Well, the gypsy culture, the women runs the household, like inside the house, but the men control the money. If they do that type of same standard, I don't know on how it is, but I know that's how the gypsy culture is here in the United States. I don't know if it's different there, but
Okay.
I would imagine he's fully unless he's spending it just absurdly. I would imagine he's got money. I don't know how many people he's supporting. I don't know. I don't even talk. We haven't even. Well, I haven't talked about which is not surprising. Remember last year when they were saying that the Crawford, Crawford Spence. I kept saying it's not going to be made this year. They're not making it this year. The only reason why they're making it now for Showtime, because Showtime needs to, in order to try to keep the sport even at the level of, we'll just take care of pay-per-views because we have the infrastructure to do them. I don't think they have any intentions of continuing boxing on a scale of like part of its program, shoulder programming. I think Showtime will be used as almost specifically as a pay-per-view because I think they're trying to show Showtime the executives, hey, pay-per-views can be worth it because if they were still trying to save PBC on Showtime, like numbers, they've announced another fight. It's Frank Martin against somebody I don't even heard of before, or some Armenian kid or something. So Frank Martin's last show against that Hispanic Muhammad Ali wannabe averaged 131,000, which is just horrendous. And now they're putting him against somebody else, mainlining. I mean, main card. So they're clearly not. They're not trying to put up anything on PBC, not on pay-per-view, that's going to do any kind of numbers. So I think that's just more sign that they're just trying to maybe keep Showtime around as pay-per-views. I don't know what they're going to do with all the other PBC fighters.
Hey, Jimmy, I want to ask you, recently Eddie Hearn said, because Steve Kim said a while back, he said that Top Rank was unhappy and dissatisfied with the ESPN situation. Now Eddie Hearn is saying that the deal, the union between ESPN and Top Rank is kaput. It's over. It's finished. And he said that Top Rank, by extension, is finished. What do you think about that?
That's what Eddie Hearn said? Really? He said Top Rank's finished?
Let me read you what he said exactly. He said Top Rank is completely finished. ESPN contract is gone.
Huh. Well, I'm not surprised they would leave ESPN. They were a terrible partner. I don't think they promoted fights. They did a shitty job. They just, ESPN's on a badwood spiral down. They're about to do major layoffs there again. Major layoffs. Where even A-list stars like Stephen A. Smith's job supposedly not secure.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying, because this is what Eddie Hearn said. He says, I can't believe he called me a joke. He said, because apparently Bob Arum's been going at him too. And he says, who do you think has a better future in boxing? Talking about his age. He says, we did 50,000 in Guadalajara with Canelo Alvarez. I did Canelo Triple G3 last year. I did Canelo versus Bivol. We sold out Madison Square Garden with Katie Taylor. And then he said, look at Top Rank. Vasil Lomachenko versus Haney couldn't even do 150,000 pay-per-view buys, he said. He says they're doing Teofimo Lopez versus Josh Taylor at the theater in Madison Square Garden, and they can't even sell out that one, he says. So he's saying that they're finished. But here's my thing. Top Rank is such a big institution. They've got an infrastructure. They've got competent people in there, from what I hear. I mean, obviously, they don't survive 40 years without doing that. Aren't they going to be able to find somebody else to hold the fights for them?
Well, they'd have to get in bed with somebody, you know what I mean? Because they need somebody who has a streaming service. You know what I mean? So like
What do you think about that? You
let him
think
out
Eddie
there.
Hearn is talking shit, or is Top Rank in trouble if they're out of the ESPN business?
I think Top Rank got in trouble the minute they stopped working with HBO. Remember, they signed with ESPN because they saw the writing on the wall at HBO. It's just the whole thing needs to change. It's boxing's going to go through some dark periods because if Top Rank doesn't have a place to show, I mean, all the other, I mean, main events, they're pretty much gone. And Eddie Hearn, yes, Eddie Hearn, and I agree, Matchroom does some decent numbers, especially here in the States. But if you take away Canelo, really, what does DAZN have besides mostly domestic level UK fights that I have pretty much no interest in? You know what I mean? For 250 balloons a year.
Butcher, what do you
Guys,
think about this? You
we
think
have-
Eddie Hearn is being what's that?
What? No, I say we have a few phone calls
think he-
here.
Oh, okay, fuck it then. Yeah.
All right, let's say the phone calls then, so people don't wait. Hey, 909. You're on the air. 909.
What's up, Bucho? Salute, BDA. Salute to the panel. This is Earl Stevens.
What's up? What's on your mind?
I'm calling because Mauricio Lara's name is being dragged through the mud all over YouTube, saying he missed weight. He didn't miss weight. He wasn't allowed to make weight. The British Boxing Board of Control weighed him in at 133 on Wednesday. He could have lost 7 pounds in 2 days. That's not nothing he couldn't. That's not something he couldn't do. You know what I'm saying? He could have done that. He wasn't allowed to. And anybody with 2 eyes can see that he was dehydrated during the fight. Doesn't take a genius to figure it out. Ben Davison put in the rehydration clause to make the fight even happen, and they did him dirty, bro. They did him dirty, and they're not even talking about a rematch. They want Warrington. They're ducking Lara, and yeah, Lara's side of the story hasn't been told yet. Because this weigh-in they do during the week, it's only done during championship fights. This is the second championship fight out there in the UK. It's not done for every fight in the UK. And he wasn't allowed to speak during the post-fight press conference. What's called we need to hear his side of the story. And don't forget that in the first fight there was controversy on Lee Wood making weight, where Eddie Hearn almost got into a fight with Wood's trainer, because they looked like Lee Wood was struggling to make weight or to look at the scales numbers, and I'm just saying Eddie Hearn looks like he's very good friends with Lee Wood and his camp and Ben Davidson, so he looks very protective of Lee Wood, and I'm tired of Lara's name being dragged through the mud all over YouTube. It's not fair what's happening to him right now.
Guys, anything you want to say?
He'll be back. He's only 26. He'll learn from this, and he'll rebound. And yeah, that's all I got to say.
All right. Anything else?
No, that's it, man. I just want to say that, put that out there, because
yeah. All right.
Yeah, he didn't miss weight. He wasn't allowed to make weight.
Well,
all right.
Did he sign? I'm just curious on how that went down. Wasn't he allowed to? Did he have because in some contracts they have a pre-weight, meaning like so many days out you have to be weighed. I know some sanctioned bodies in the United States do that too, because they want to make sure nobody's doing crash weight cuts. Meaning if you're X amount of pounds, only so many days out of the fight, in theory that it becomes exponentially more dangerous to your health. If you're at a certain weight, if you have to take off, like, on a Wednesday, you get weighed and you have to be within 7 pounds of the weight on that day. I'm just throwing out an arbitrary number right now, but say 7 pounds on Wednesday. And if you're above that, then they can kick you, you know what I mean? Say, nope, you're not going to be able to weight, because safely you're not going to be able to take off that much weight in those days, in 3 or 4 days, and then be ready to fight. It did, and like I said earlier, it seems shady to me.
The only time I've ever heard of that happening. No, go ahead.
No, I said it did seem shady to me, though, what they did to Lara.
Yeah, but to Earl's point, Jimmy, to Earl's point, to Earl's point, are they accommodating? I know he's not a child or anything, but are they because it's their rules, and he's flying over there. So are they putting the things in place in order for him to hit them benchmarks with the weight, or are they keeping him in the dark and just supposedly helping them out, but really they're scared for their fighter and they're going to benefit their fighter. That's what I'm wondering.
Yeah, and it's only 7 pounds. You know, he was 133 on Wednesday. Lee Wood's weight wasn't released what he was on Wednesday. Lara's was. He was 133, and that was enough for them to call it off. 7 pounds in 2 days, that's nothing. And what's it called? And Lee Wood's weight wasn't, you know, what he weighed the day of the fight wasn't released, and neither was Lara's. But you can clearly tell that he was dehydrated in that fight. You know, he was stumbling everywhere. He didn't have balance, and it's ridiculous what they did to him right there. And that's what I'm saying.
All right, caller. A good call. Call back again. Take care.
All right, for sure.
By the way, in the chat, we have a comment from Timothy Figueroa who says that Mauricio Lara ended up like Maximus in Gladiator. You know, that he was like that. Yeah.
Smile for me, brother.
Yeah, exactly.
Give him a little stick inside the rib.
Yeah. All right, let's take another phone call. 214.
Yeah, can you feel so proud of that victory? Can you feel so proud when you're swinging sweet carrot? No, man.
Hey. All right, let's take a phone call. 214, you're on the air. 214.
PDA loves that song.
Yeah. I want to say congratulations to Venado, man. I've been watching him since he beat Flores Jr. When he moved up to super featherweight, and he beat him up. And you know, I was like, wow. You know, the guy's very unorthodox. Sometimes he swings some of his punches, but sometimes, you know, he throws some awkward angles. He's got fast. He's pretty fast, and he closed the distance. And he got very good uppercuts, and he can throw them long. He can throw them short. So, and that's what happened. You know, he had, it was kind of tough the first 2 rounds. Very competitive, very good fight, very good atmosphere out there in Ireland. And you know, Conlan, I thought he might be able to pull it off, but he fell into the energy of the crowd. And you know, he started to confront Lopez a lot more, and then Lopez countered him with uppercut, and ever since then it was downhill for Conlan. And he tried to dip, you know, dipping. You know, I'm very against dipping in boxing. It's just too dangerous. No one's that good enough to do it in boxing nowadays, because you're going to get caught with an uppercut. And that's for Lee Wood, and shout out to him. I still think he's mid in terms of skill and toughness, but he's got enough to hang with the guys at the world class. And, you know, Lara, like I saw it last time, I saw Lara that, you know, yeah, man, he's just not a good boxer. He's a good puncher. You know, he's a good puncher, but he's not a good boxer. He was getting outboxed in the last fight. And if Lee Wood didn't, you know, throw that left hook, he would have won that last fight too. So that's what I feel about it. You know, I feel like the better boxer won this time, even though he's not like a super amazing boxer, just good enough to keep Lara guessing.
All right. Good points. I mean, what do you guys think about that? Lara, he's not the real deal anyways as well. I mean, Wood either, but Lara, he's not as impressive as Venado Lopez. Would you guys say that?
I mean, yeah, he's been hurt to the body in his first professional fight. I think he got stopped. I don't know. So he's been dropped now. So he might be a little chinny. He hits really fucking hard, like he's swinging a rock from the hip.
Yeah.
He's real. I'm not saying he ain't tough, but with all these things, the shenanigans, but I'm just going to say that Venado Lopez, he got the chin. He got the powers. So I think he's better. And good point about the uppercuts. What I said earlier about him cutting, you know, what I meant to say, he slices, like his uppercut is real precise. He'll get you going from side to side with the white hooks, that you're kind of paying attention to that pattern. But with that uppercut comes down the middle, it's quick. And sometimes, like you said, it's short. Sometimes it's long. But nonetheless, it slices up down the middle quick. And it catches you. Very accurate.
The thing about Lara is, too, he's got to find out, discover how to get on the inside. Like I said earlier, if there's a difference between being able to fight on the inside and getting on the inside. He was unaware of how to get on the inside against Wood. And then on top of that, when he was moving side to side, he kept moving to his left. He kept moving with his rear leg first. In other words, his lead foot is his left, If you move to your left, you're supposed to move with that foot. Instead, he was moving with the right. So if Conlan would have, if Wood would have cut him with one shot while he was doing that, he would have dropped him. It was horrible footwork. He needs to figure that out. He's only 25 years old. He shouldn't have even been in this position in the first place because he wasn't supposed to beat Warrington. So he needs to learn from what happened last night and from the first fight too as well, because he was losing that fight, and really work on his technique, because right now the power wasn't enough.
Yeah, that's why I'm skeptical about some of these UK guys. I'm not saying they're not bad. It's just that they have some things about them that I'm not too confident about. Like Warrington going in there and trying to beat him up, and Warrington's not a power puncher, and he just got knocked. I was just surprised. I'm like, what the hell? You're supposed to be a champion level fighter. You just got knocked out by an unknown guy. It should. I was, some these UK guys. I'm not hating on them. I'm just skeptical. That's all.
All right, caller. Thanks for calling.
These guys.
Take care. Call back again.
Right.
Take care, man.
Okay.
Yeah, these featherweights. Who was the last featherweight or junior featherweight British boxer that had a lot of talent? In my opinion, it was Frampton. Unless there was somebody else, I can't remember. Yeah, we have like Warrington. He's not that impressive, in my opinion. He never was.
I mean, Warrington he beat Frampton. He beat Lee Selby, I think. He beat that fucking English. Galahad, thank you. Yeah, so he was on a good run, but that's the thing about Mauricio Lara. The reason why he was able to beat Warrington, it was a fantastic styles matchup for him. He was fighting a slugger who couldn't hit hard.
Yeah.
So Warrington was. If Warrington and Lara fight 10 out of times, 10 times, I'm picking Lara 9 out of 10. And the only reason why I'm giving Warrington 1 is because statistically you have to. It's just a bad styles matchup. But then you saw what happened last night, man, with Wood. Now, of course, I'm not sure exactly what happened with the weight thing. But if Lara was compromised with the weight, then that performance becomes even less impressive from Wood, because he was doing the bare minimum to win that fight. And like I said, I understand he was knocked out in the first fight, so he had to fight that way. But let's face the facts. It was a born performance. And if I'm Venado Lopez and I want money, I fight, what's his name? Wood in England. I don't go for Robeisy Ramirez, even though that fight's easier to make with Top Rank. Make the fight in the UK, man. See if you can take out. Because again, like Bucho keeps saying, Wood isn't that spring chicken either.
Exactly.
Yeah,
it's a
but
unification fight.
it would behoove them to stay informed and follow the steps from this British Board of Control that they're implementing, and no beforehand. That's what I mean. No beforehand. Stay up on your game, because if not, they're gonna strip you just like they did Mauricio Lara, and that's fucked up.
All right, guys. Let's just take another phone call. Yeah, I think it's K-Dog 773. You're on the air. 773.
You know who the fuck it is? Who do you think it is? I don't know.
What the fuck is going on, man? What's up, man? What's on your mind?
I gotta talk about Conlan's glass chin. It's over. It's a wrap. The career's done. You start getting knocked out by phantom punches like that, and you start going limp like a ragdoll. That's it. I mean, you saw that one punch where he got knocked out of the ring. It was like a grazing shot. It wasn't even like a explosive shot where it clinked. It was just like a grazing shot, and all of a sudden you're like, "What the fuck? What even hit? What happened?" And he's knocked out of the ring, limp. And the same thing. It's like this grazing shot, and he's stiff. His whole body jolts back, hits the back of his head off the canvas. Yeah, that's a wrap. Glass jaw. Call it a day. Call it a career. It sucks because I was high on him. I liked him. I thought he was going to be a good prospect. I thought he was going to be the next big star, big Irish star. He was coming up. Conor McGregor was high on him, and now he's got a glass chin. That's a wrap. What you guys thoughts on that?
McGregor's high on every Irishman, though. You know what I mean?
What'd you say, Jimmy?
Couldn't hear you.
No, I was saying Conor McGregor. He's always high on every Irishman. You gotta give him credit for that. I mean, he does give his countrymen credit. I mean, no matter who it is, he's always, if they're Irish, he has their back.
Yeah, that's true.
Well, he's not a bad boxer, though.
Am I onto something or what?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, am I onto something? You think is just when I start seeing these guys, they get put out by these grazing shots, and it's not like he gets wobbled or something. The dude's like sparked out, limp. So that's why I'm saying I don't mean to be a dick. I'm not trying to call anybody a bum. It just doesn't. It's just one of those things where you got a bad feeling.
It's not going to get better, Kev. It doesn't get better once you get knocked out like that. Like you're out cold, and he was put out last night. It wasn't like he was just really hurt, and the ref decided like. And obviously, to your point, his corner reacted immediately. The minute he went down, the way he bounced his head off the canvas, his corner threw in the towel. But like I say all the time, your jaw is like metal. It can be a stiff piece, steel. But every time you bend it, and then you bend it back, and you bend it, and that same spot starts weakening, and eventually it just snaps. Like every time you get knocked out, it gets easier to get knocked out. It's a weird
Jimmy
thing.
the engineer.
Yeah, and I would say a grazing shot sometimes could do more damage, right? Because you're making the head spin. It's like when the police fucking go after a car and they do that T-bone. They fucking push it from the corner of the bumper to make the car turn in circles. When you hit something at the right angle, you're gonna make the head spin, and it's gonna fucking make the brain spout back and forth. So it's one of those things, man. We've seen it with the tempo shots, like to the tip of the chin.
Gonzalo, that's called a pit maneuver. When the
pit maneuver, yeah.
Yeah.
You're making you're trying to put somebody in a tailspin.
Yep.
Kevin, anything else?
Yeah, I got to talk about the. I got to talk about the cruiserweight champ. Oh man, Okoli. Man, I thought this dude was like the boogeyman. Like he's gonna come up to heavyweight, and I thought he was a real deal. And how could I be so wrong? What a pitiful performance, dude. Sloppy shit. Typical UK boxing garbage. Do you guys talk about that? I'd like to get your thoughts on that before I head out, because in my opinion, that was absolute.
I didn't get to see the fight. Mr. B, it was boring. It was boring as fuck, and I read some articles about the fight, and I'm glad I missed it, to be honest.
Kevin, when he beat Glowacki, I don't know how those Polish names, but when he beat him, I was impressed because I was thinking, oh shit, this guy's gonna be a problem because he's tall, he can crack. Anybody that's gonna have to work his way inside against him is gonna have to go through his punching power. And then this dude last night wasn't even working that hard to get on the inside, and you could tell that Okoli is one of those dudes that's not used to getting punched. He's terrified of fighting on the inside, or he can't fight on the inside. He doesn't want to take shots. As soon as he's got that Vladimir Klitschko syndrome. As soon as he gets graced with something, oh, let me clinch. Very good clinching skills. If you want to give him, if you could win fights just on clinching technique alone, this guy is a good clincher. He'd be undefeated still. But guess what? That doesn't win you fights. And this motherfucker was so boring. Every jab, clinch. It was disgusting, and the other guy deserved the win. I didn't see the whole fight yet, but because I can't watch it. It's too boring. Fucking clinching every 2 seconds.
Old. Glowacki was too old. They caught him at the right time. He's been in a bunch of wars. That was prime Glowacki, would have destroyed him, but he's done too. I mean, it's fights with Usyk and
the way he moves,
Cunningham, and
it's the way he moves. Well, Kev, did you see what he did when he left Sky? I mean, he left Matchroom to go to he left Matchroom. What has ties to the belts of in the organization? I mean, in the weight class he's fighting in, he leaves them to go to an organization that has no ties to any of the belts. So it's like not listen to what they say; it's listen to what they do and how they move, and that's why. I mean, it's the same thing. Like it's akin to Boots Ennis, who I've been high on, but lately, man, this past 6 months, his reputation has really taken it in the ass.
Topped off.
You see him on Crawford. Crawford's like, when did you call me out? What? Yes, and yeah, ridiculous. And he couldn't say, well, no, I asked to fight you. He's like, when? And he couldn't even say. It's like, dude, if you wanted to fight Crawford, then why are you fighting in IFB eliminators? I mean, IBF eliminators, and fighting for the IBF title? Because you know what? Crawford doesn't have that belt. Who does? Spence. So that's who you're wanting to fight. So he was just name association, name promotion through name association. And I just don't like that shit. Glory snatching. Ah, good sound.
Facts,
effect.
Jim. Facts, Jim.
That sounds.
All right, guys, I'll leave you to it. Have a good one.
All right, take care. That was Cat Dog. Let's take another phone call. 843 on the air. 843.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes. What's up?
Hey, I'm sort of conditioning. I called here before a couple times. I'm calling because the couple of fights that I saw yesterday that I found interesting. One of them was Nick Ball. I was high on him when he fought. I think Louis. It was in the undercard for Tyson Fury and Dylan White. He did a great performance there, but then yesterday he didn't look good at all. I don't know if you saw it. He was the co-main before Conlan and Lopez, and I think the dude towards the end he fell in the corner. I'm not sure if the guy survived the bout, but even though the fight was just horrible. I don't know if you guys saw it.
I didn't watch that one. Did you guys see that fight?
Which one again?
No, I didn't get
The co-main event for the Conlan Lopez fight.
Oh yeah, Nick Ball. You talking about Nick Ball?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a good fight against the African dude. It was a good fight.
Well, didn't he fight that guy, the Irish kid Foley? Darren Foley or something?
I think the co-main was another dude, a 126-pounder with an 18-0 record. He's got about, I don't know.
Yep.
Yeah,
Okay, I was
knockouts.
thinking about the Jack Catterall fight against Foley.
Yeah, that dude's pretty good,
No,
man. He's
that-
tough.
Go ahead, caller.
Yeah, the Jack Catterall fight kind of made me fall asleep a little bit. I was trying to watch it, and I couldn't even stay up for half of the bout. But yeah, that fight, the Nick Ball kind of disappointed me a little bit. I saw a better version of him before. I thought he was, although he won the fight, he just didn't look like he was. I don't know, he couldn't find his distance. But that's about him. And then the Lara fight, I was a little disappointed. I know you guys already talked about his rehydration and all that stuff, but I don't know. He seemed like a PVC fighter to me. You know, he just wasn't throwing the way he was before. A little disappointed on him too. But yeah, the Lopez fight was incredible. But other than that, that's all I got. I don't know if you guys talked about that before, but yeah.
Yeah, to your question, sorry, Bucho. To your question, I think Nick Ball did get the stoppage. I remember the corner threw in the towel for the African dude. He was a good boxer. That was kind of crazy because the referee caught the towel in the air. It was crazy. It was cool.
I tell you what, man, with that knockout victory on his record, I guess the ball's in his court now.
Yeah.
Yeah, the fight was entertaining. Nick Ball fight was entertaining as hell. I just thought I don't know if you guys saw it, but in the Tyson Fury undercard, he fought there, and he looked way better there. You know, he was on point. He was moving right. I mean, the guy never caught him. And this one, he just looked like, I don't know, for some reason, he seemed like a little fluster, like the moment was catching on to him. But even though he won, he just didn't look the same. But although, kudos to him, he won. So that's all that matters in the end.
All right, caller, we got to move on. There's other phone calls, but thanks for calling, all right? Take care.
Sounds good. Have a good day.
All right, let's take another phone call here. Let me just, all right. 301, you're on the air, 301.
Hey, what's up, Bucho?
Hey, what's up, man? What's on your mind?
Yeah, I just wanted to start out with something that happened last weekend before the excitement of this one. Junto Nakatani, I feel like there are tons of fights available for him that I hope happen. I think he's as dangerous a fighter at 115 as any of them. I mean, obviously there's Estrada. I don't know if Gonzalez is going to fight again. I don't know if he has enough to fight a young, big guy like that. But I really want to see him against Bam Rodriguez. I know he fought at flyweight his last fight, but he was fighting at superfly pretty consistently. And honestly, he looked a lot better. Had a lot more power 115 than 112. So I'm kind of curious if you guys ever thought about that. trajectory.
You know what, man? We didn't get a chance to talk about the undercard too much, but Junto Nakatani sort of stole the show, almost stole the show on that undercard. And that division, super flyweight, has to be one of the most jam-packed divisions in there. It's unfortunate that a lot of these guys are with different promotional entities, but man, the talent that's in there and the variety of styles in there is just amazing. And if Junto Nakatani can position himself to take over that division, that would be pound for pound stuff right there, because anybody that can beat 2 or 3 of these guys in a row, that's pound for pound material right there.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. And I would really favor him because the guy he was up against, I would say he's not elite, but definitely world class. Maloney, he tried everything in there. He's a really tough guy. He didn't get dropped twice. I think he got dropped once, but he was hurt multiple times and still rallied back and was a good inside fighter. And Nakatani was beating him on the inside, on the outside. He could box, he could move, he could fight off the ropes. The variety of ability he displayed was really something else, which is why I want to see him against Bam, who's got these crazy angles. I think the reach would be a problem for Bam, but I think Bam has a little bit of speed on him, a lot of power. But, yeah, I think another thing is that the Murataya guy who fought on the undercard at 135, he's going to be a problem because the way he touched the Nakatila kid, he just touched him with that right hand. He didn't load up or follow through, and he hurt him badly. At first, I thought there was an early stoppage. I think they stopped in the second round. But when I looked back, he was snapping his head back over and over again. So I don't blame the ref for just calling it there because it was going to get ugly. So I think he's really a threat to any champion or any contender at lightweight because he seems like he really needs to just touch you once, and he can really rock you. And especially Stevenson, that'd be an interesting matchup because even Oscar Valdez got to him with a couple of double right hands. So if Murataya touched him, he really wouldn't like that.
Well,
I think he has the speed to get to him.
Well, listen, I hope these fights happen at that weight division. Like Mr. BDA said, they're pretty exciting. But we got to move on. There's a lot of phone calls. All right, caller? Thanks for calling.
Okay, but can I say one quick thing about the Conlan fight?
Oh, yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I was obviously impressed with Vanilla Lopez, but what I noticed about Conlan is, for a guy with that kind of amateur pedigree, he has very poor balance. That's because he wings that left hook. He doesn't throw a single straight left hand, as far as I could tell. He just throws a left hook and then dips really hard and tries to exit out. What I liked about Lopez is that every time he would try to kind of run back, he'd move back in the line. Lopez would march forward and get to him. That's how he would catch him in those exchanges. And he was just very comfortable at that mid-range close distance. So, totally different fighter. It completely surprised me from the Warrington fight. I guess like you guys mentioned him, he had a nutritionist, which I feel like is a euphemism in boxing these days. Now, I got a nutritionist.
Yeah.
And I totally changed my physique. But, yeah, how sharp he was with that uppercut from the hip. A special punch, because I couldn't believe he started landing it so early and so often, because he literally threw it from like below his hip. You don't see that often. So it's an exciting division. I hope it happen because there's a ton of fighters there.
Another division that's full of talent, yes. And yeah, anyways, caller, thanks for calling. All right, gonna move on here.
You guys have a good one. Bye.
Somebody hung up. A bunch of people hung up. I think we waited too long, I guess. But yeah, it's exciting divisions. And by the way, Jimmy, we're talking about Conlan getting stopped. You know, if you think about it, it's his second stoppage loss in 14 months. So you were talking about bending the metal, the steel getting bent, and fuck, man. I mean, in a short time span, he's getting brutally knocked out. He got knocked out of the ring, and now he gets knocked out by a fucking uppercut.
Yeah.
Probably like a knockout of the year.
The one out of the ring was as much exhaustion as I think it was his lights out, but it still was affecting. Plus, he wasn't taking shots. Well, and again, when you don't have power, you can't keep people off you. It's an ugly combination. You know, and you're chinny without power. Like, why bother? And I'm, you know what I mean? I'm a biased person. Like, when it comes to, I just don't get behind fighters who don't have knockout power. Like, guys who, minute I see somebody and they announce them, you know, 18-1 with 4 knockouts, I'm like, oh God.
I know, man.
Fuck. You know
But Jimmy,
what I mean? Like, no chance of a knockout.
You
So
don't,
if there's no chance for knockout, I don't want to, I'm just not interested.
Are you telling me
But
you don't
anyway.
appreciate the sweet science because it's supposed to be hit and not get hit? Like, how can you not appreciate that, Jimmy?
Yeah, but that's the same philosophy when you have knockout power too, isn't it?
Well, Jimmy, what if the announcer says, you know, 18 wins with 4 big knockouts? Okay, it might have just been 4, but they're big
Four
knockouts.
big wins coming our way on knockout.
I know, 4 big knockouts.
Somebody told me because he does have a 60-something% KO ratio, almost identical to Venado, but there's a difference. You can obviously tell that freaking Venado can pop, he can crack, dude. He hits really hard. He's muscular and everything. With Conlan, yeah, he might have some power, but when it comes to a guy that's got a good chin and pressures you like Venado does, it's a whole different ball game. That's what makes Venado so good.
And when did Conlan stop knocking people out? So you get a lot of these guys who most of their knockouts when it comes early in their career when they're you know, fighting guys with like 4 wins and 32 losses, just complete club fighters were just there to get their fucking $500 and, you know, hopefully get laid by some chick in the audience. When you start, when you're only knocking those dudes out, then you step up the competition, even pre-contender status, but you can't put those guys away. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a red flag.
Especially an Olympian, an amateur that's highly touted. When he goes into the professional ranks, they're going to pat his record. Kind of like Luke Campbell. Luke Campbell, if you look at his record, he's a fucking power puncher. But if you break it down and you go into box rec, you'll notice that a lot of the stoppages he got over in the UK, the referee steps in. Referee steps in, calls a fight.
And also, some fighters are actually sometimes they're not able to get knockouts early in their careers because they fight 6-rounders and they need more rounds to get that damage in or knockout punch or to wear their opponents down, and they can't do it in 6 rounds. So it depends, man. It's the records can be deceiving, basically. I guess is what we're saying.
Ucho.
Yeah, the connection. All right, guys. If it disconnects, we're gonna have to end the show.
You're better now.
Oh, I'm better now. All right. I was gonna say if I was gonna end the show if it's just fucked up. Actually, we've been on for 1 hour and 45 minutes. I think I want to do a quick show today. By the way, guys, June the 10th. So not this weekend. Next weekend, we have the Josh Taylor versus Teofimo Lopez fight for the lineal junior welterweight championship of the world. We're going to be doing a lot of shows on that fight because it is a big fight. This weekend, there is nothing. There's Clarissa Shields. So again, there is nothing to watch this weekend. So I don't know what you guys want to talk about this weekend. Sorry, this week.
That fight, Bucho, is the real crazy, like in my opinion, to call who's going to win. It's a mystery to me. That's how matchup, dude.
You're talking about Lopez versus yeah.
That's
Clarissa,
right.
You're talking about Clarissa?
No,
I'm talking about what's his name? Lopez, the
Taylor.
Taylor.
Teofimo.
Yeah.
Versus,
Lopez Taylor. That's a good. And the fact that
confusing.
It's at the Eddie Hearn made a mistake. It's at the Hulu Theater, not at the Madison Square Garden Theater. But even then, apparently, it's not even selling that well. So you have to wonder what's going on with Top Rank. The fact that if it's true that they're having ties with ESPN, they might be. I mean, I always used to think that Top Rank was the best outfit out there, but lately now, if they leave Top Rank, they might have. Excuse me, if they leave ESPN, they might have to be in a transition period. Because this Taylor, why didn't they make Taylor Lopez in the UK? They're doing it in New York, which is supposed to be Lopez's area of operation, but even then, he doesn't really sell that well either. Maybe Lopez didn't want to fight in the UK, because I know from before Lopez lost to what's his name, Cambosos, he was saying, "Oh, we're not going to do it in the UK because We know how it works over there. Meanwhile, we've got Rolly Romero versus Barroso is one of the worst stoppages ever. So whether it's the United States, UK, that type of shit can happen. Number two, let's say Lopez didn't want to fight in the UK. Why doesn't Top Rank say, hey, fucker, we're giving you a second chance here after you decide to go on your own against Kambosos. Look what happened there. So you fight where we tell you to fight. So I don't understand why this fight isn't taking place.
Well, it's easier for Top Rank to be in the United States for an assortment of reasons. The relationship with the state sanctioning boards. I'm sure Bob's on first name base with them all. Discounts, you know what I mean? Because he has fights regularly in that room. He's about to have that fight, which I'm not a big fan of. But so there's that tax reasons. UK is got an insane tax rate, so Bob loses a lot of money in taxes over there. And that's a big drawback. You know what I mean?
If they do it properly, though, couldn't they make more money at the gate?
Well, it's hard with. I think you got a kid. I think a kid in Taylor that a lot of people in England unhappy with, because they know he didn't win that fight against Can. You know what I mean? So that is infrequent of fighting. And when he came out himself saying, "I'm good with fighting once a year," I think that's fine. It's like, dude, it's just crazy. I mean, it's just so nuts. I was just looking at some old shit I had written down. Got dropped off my mom's, and like I kept a little log of the fights back. It was a time then. I remember seeing like, man, look at this. Like within 3 months, guys would fight on HBO. They'd fight on HBO in January, and they're fighting again in April. You know what I mean? Then they're fighting again in that August, and then again in December. Within the fights, like 20 fights, and they build up. You get to know them. You know what I mean? Like the story, like. All right, for instance, when Al Heyman, the reason why he lost a lot of the, what was that network that used to do the Undercover Boss, all that other shit? What wasn't one of the major four? Spike, okay, Spike. So the president of Spike said, working with Al, the reason why it only lasted 1 season, he just said he would give us these fighters, put fighters on our network. We'd spend shoulder programming time, meaning tell the story of their fighters, send reporters to their place of where they train, build up a story of the fighter, relationship with the audience of Spike's audience with this fighter, and then they would never see him again. And like the president said, growing up, being a fan of boxing, growing up, that's not how you would see it. Networks would, you don't have to sign a deal with the network, but if you need to fight regularly, fans have to have a reason to like you. And when you're fighting once every 15 months and you're coming off robberies, it's just. And the numbers show, dude. It's pay-per-view numbers. I think Lomachenko. I think people are going to be surprised. I don't think Spence Crawford's going to do the numbers people think it's going to do. I think people are going to be really surprised by how little it sells.
Oh, you're just a hater.
What's that? No, dude. First off, it's 4 years past its fucking due date. I mean, it is what it is. I mean, the numbers across the boards have gone down. In everything. ESPN boxing numbers are down.
Well, Jimmy,
yes.
We had an open lines Friday, and it was Rare Breed, and he was saying, well, why are y'all looking at the numbers? Why do you care about the numbers?
The numbers mean everything. On a sport that's a fringe sport, that's on the bubble, that literally the ground underneath it's crumbling out from under the sport. Showtime is already all but done. In boxing, I mean, if you want to count pay-per-views, which I don't, because when you have to spend $80 to watch a fight, that's not like you don't have a relationship with that network. Like, I'll cancel Showtime immediately. But I mean, you got ESPN folding up. I mean, that was everybody saw that coming. So it's the numbers are important. Remember, if the numbers aren't good, especially in the 18 to 54. Age bracket, which is the key demo for advertising dollars. No network. I mean, listen real quick. You got to cut through like Steven Espinoza. I know he loves his word salads, and he'll give you a fucking 3 times around the block to get you to nowhere. You know what I mean? With his blah blah blah, he just talks. But every now and then he slips up and he says the truth. And one of the recent interviews he did with Mark from Fight Hub TV. He's like, well, of course, no network is going to continue to show their program and get behind a program that does horrible numbers. But then he turned around, same breath, is pretty much saying, well, Nielsen numbers are just a small percentage. There's and he starts just talking shit. It's just all shit. And just look at what they're putting on right now. Look what Showtime, right? Why? I mean, PBC has all these fighters. How come Showtime isn't making fights? Every time they announce something now, it's another fucking Frank Martin again. Really? What's the common denominator in all these? These are fighters that don't cost no money. Like he's getting these guys like 200 balloons. Fucking
no, they're fucking in trouble for real. I mean, they're in trouble, and for people who are, the only thing that they can say is, well, you guys have been saying that the PBC is gonna die for years now, and it's still here. Yeah, but it's still here in what shape? In what
shape?
Yeah, exactly. That's what. Yeah.
May 2014. Remember May 2015, Bucho? They spent $500,000 just on the song. They had a composer. They had a full stage. They had Marv Albert and fucking. They had all the top end. You know what I mean? Like the money. I think he used that as kind of because when they were in court within 18 months, they were in the federal court and they were down to less than $88 million. $88 million for their working capital, and they started off with $750 million. So you ask yourself, what the fuck did they spend that money on? $750 million at the time. That was the cost of an NHL franchise.
Jimmy,
And
that sounds suspicious. Very suspicious. Very suspicious. But we need to take a phone call here, and then we'll get back to the panel. 226, right. You're on the air. 226.
Hey, is BDA there by any chance?
Let me check. Because I have this thing. Yeah, Mr. BDA.
I'm here.
Where is? Sounds like he's calling to borrow some money.
Oh, there you are, BDA. I couldn't hear you. BDA, man, I'm glad to hear your fucking voice, brother. I kind of got a favor to ask you if you don't mind, BDA. Please.
Well, depends, man. Depends what it is. I always try to help people, but it also depends. What's up, man?
If you remember back, and listen, I was just trying to look, man. I'm not gonna lie, times are a little tough right now. I was trying to get some gas, and I don't want to get into the credit card thing, but listen, July 7th, 2020, I donated you a $4 super chat. You think you could reverse it by any chance? Is that possible?
We'll give you $8. We'll double it.
Oh, great. Yeah.
Which date was it? Sorry, Slugger, I forgot. What date?
What's that, my friend?
Is he still there?
I can't. I'm still here. What's that, my friend?
What date was the super chat?
What happened to my connection? Fuck! I almost got $4, man. And then this shit happened. Fuck, man.
Slugger, did you fill out the forms? You got to fill out the form. BDA HR needs to see that. You can't just, you have to fill out a form, explain why you want your money back. What part of our programming failed you so?
Yeah. Hey, listen, I'll tell you what. Listen, all jokes aside, it's all right. You can keep the $4. Don't worry about it. But I'm thinking of going up there to Montreal to watch Beterbiev pounding fucking Smith's face in. What do you guys think? Me, you, and Bucho, we should go, all three of us, man.
That's in Quebec City, amazing. I think. I don't like Quebec City anymore. I'm not welcome.
That's not far from you guys.
Didn't fight?
I'm not welcome.
Listen, guys, I'm going to all the fights this month. It's a hell of a month for me. I got Clarissa Shields next month. 2 weeks after, I got Big Baby Anderson in Ohio, and then I got fucking Montana Love, right?
Oh.
I mean, it's not the creme de la creme, but it's the best we get in Detroit around here.
I knew you were from Detroit. You're not even from Canada. You're from Detroit. You just crossed that bridge, or whatever it's called.
You're going to a Clarissa Shields fight?
Jimmy, it's not that I want to go, but it's the only thing we're getting around here, so I might as well go. But the undercard ain't bad. I know some of the local cats in Detroit. They're going to be on the undercard. But Big Baby Anderson is gonna headline on July 1st. I'm going to that.
I'd go see Big Baby.
And then I'm on. Yeah, I'm gonna see
that's
him.
better than-
Hey, BDA, what's that ugly Russian-looking motherfucker that fights out of Montreal? The big heavyweight guy. He looks like a fucking. Like he's got the fucking pointy ears.
What is the guy's name?
Makhmudov.
Yes, Magvedov.
That is.
Yeah, he's Russian. He's trying to be like the next Ivan Drago. He's a knockoff.
Slugger.
He's a knockoff
Slugger.
version of Ivan Drago. What's his name?
Yeah. Gonzalo just said it.
Magvedov.
Oh, Magledov. Yeah, he's going to be on the Big Baby Anderson undercard.
Oh shit.
Go watch that one instead of the female fightings. I mean, that's hardly a fight.
Bucho, you and BDA, you guys got to come with.
To Detroit.
You guys gotta
I'm not going to Detroit.
No,
come
we're not going to
watch all
send
the
two of our
fights.
hosts simultaneously
Come
into that
on.
city.
Come
Chances
on,
of both
don't
being
give me
killed
that
are
shit.
fucking
Come on.
way too high.
I'm not even going to Sudbury or wherever you're from. Where are you from again? I forgot. Windsor. I'm not going to
Come on,
Windsor,
you know where I'm
Ontario.
from.
That place is it's a no-no.
Hey,
for
wait
me.
a minute.
you know
Slugger,
what? You know
I want
what?
to ask you.
Okay, I'll tell you
are
this.
you I don't. My
I'll tell you
my
this.
Canadian
I'll tell you
geography
this before
fuck-
I hang up. I'll tell you this
Can you hear
before
me,
I hang
man?
up. I'll tell you this before I hang up.
Once he
You
gets
guys are a
going,
bunch
dude,
of
he'll
racists.
stop.
All
You know
right, I
that.
get it. You're a bunch of racists, all of you.
Yes, we are.
know?
All right, Slugger, we gotta go, man. We got another call here.
Okay,
All
well,
right.
Bucho, if you think I'm lying, let me answer you this. Do you got a pair of Jordans? If you don't, then you're a racist.
I really don't, man. Fuck.
Yeah,
Okay,
no,
you're
dude.
right.
I'm
I don't
I'm
buy
not in high
Jordans,
school
man.
anymore.
All right, Slugger,
Yeah,
listen.
you're a
We'll
racist.
talk about this Quebec trip at some point, all right? Take care.
All right, fellas.
They both
Was he going to invite you next to Memphis?
I mean, I'm sorry. Yeah, exactly. I mean, no disrespect to any people from Detroit, you know.
Yeah, I think it's time to take another one of our Baltimore escapades. I mean, yeah.
I might as well.
Baltimore Marathon.
Let's head down to the South Shore of Chicago, South Side of Chicago.
I don't even go to East Montreal. So, you guys, anyways. Bushido,
Especially
thank
on
you
a
for...
Saturday night. Look at all the youth hanging around. Very festive.
All right, let's take a phone call. But before we take a phone call, super chat. Bushido Key, thank you for your contribution. He says America is the mecca of boxing, and we're in a recession. I can't help but think boxing reflects the economy, aka fixed fights and scrapping money. Well, I don't know. Is it a reflection of the society, Jimmy?
Of course, absolutely. It's without a doubt, just the way the American fighters roll. You know what I mean? Trying to fucking just have you guys noticed? Look at who they're fighting now. We're at the point now where it's become regular to see guys with 12, 13, 14 fights, especially on the PBC island, fighting for titles. Not because like Lomachenko fighting because he come out of the amateurs winning one of the best amateur records ever and was a skilled guy. They're doing it because they don't have to pay them a lot of money. There's a reason all these fucking A guys, like Sean Porter stepped out when it was right. He saw the writing on the wall. They can't get these guys paid unless they're on pay-per-views. And Showtime, even though they're set up for pay-per-views, how many can they put on? I mean, what do you put every month? $80? You just hit people over the head for a C-note for that fucking Garcia Davis trash. And what now? I mean, you just get one after another, and then offer them what you're offering them? Please.
Hey, Jimmy, they were laughing and telling jokes regarding Rolando Romero's win over Barroso. You see, they forgot already. They thought it was cute. 'Cause that's who they wanted to win. Like, they forgot. It's fucking cool.
That's how it is, man. That's a problem.
Yeah, but PBC's doing well. When they're fucking having to openly fix a fight to get that shit bum fucking the title. That's an organization. Now, I don't care what you say about Top Rank. They would never even sign a skid mark like that. Never mind try to push him into a title. I mean, seriously, it's a joke.
But just real quick, I agree with what Jimmy's saying, but that type of language on a Sunday, you can do without that.
Yeah, come on, Jimmy. All right.
I know, man.
Let's take a phone call here. 240. 240. You're on the air. Yo, you're on the air. All right, he hung up. We have another phone call. 336. 336. You're on the air.
Yo, hello.
Yeah, what's up? What's on your mind?
All right,
yes.
All right, what's up? Before we get into the fights that happened yesterday, a little over 3 years ago, George Floyd, he made a lot of sacrifices to become. Sorry, I got a D on me. He made a lot of sacrifices to become sober for 3 years. He's drug free now, so I'm very proud of that.
My God. All right, let's get back to boxing here.
Anyways, so Lee Wood did his thing. I didn't know he was fucking 34 years old. He looked pretty good, sticking behind the jab. He was patient. Lara just looked like shot to pieces, drained, really flat on his feet, heavy on his feet, almost like he was stomping around when he was getting his combinations off on the front foot. Just looked like shit. Now, people were talking about maybe he was weight drained or what, and maybe that's the thing, or he had a rehydration clause. I don't know if that was put on him. He came in 5 pounds overweight. Like, what happened with that shit? So, I know what your thoughts were on that.
Well, it tells you he didn't take his fucking camp serious enough. That's on him, you know what I mean?
He's used to cutting, Jimmy. He's used to cutting 11 pounds in 1 week. That's just the way he rolls. He said it a month ago in the Mexican program.
Yeah, so he's one of them dudes. Yeah, so he played fast and loose with it, and eventually, as you get older, that gets harder and harder. It stops working.
Oh, he's 25.
Like every time you lose weight, it always gets harder the next time, even if you don't notice it, but it does. And when you get older, oh yeah, forget about it. So if he was waiting to cut all that weight in like a week or whatever, he was taking that off with saunas and fucking, sweating it out and shit like that, which is just, it sucks the nutrients right out of your body. It's just not a good way to take it out. You look gray and flabby.
Right, and the thing is, when he cut all that weight so fast, the reason Lil Deb wasn't completely dehydrated is because, he had 36 hours. And when you cut all that weight, your brain is very dehydrated. It's the last to get the ample, hydration or water that's needed to function properly. So whenever people seem very chinny, kind of like what Burchelt was like when he fought Valdez, it's because he was weight drained as shit. And that's why, you can get shot to pieces if you don't fight at the weight you should be fighting at. So, I guess that was for Lara.
BDA said they need to put same-day weigh-ins back in place. Listen, they've weaponized these weigh-ins. When you allow Haney 36 hours to swell up into a welterweight, that's just nuts. They weaponized that. The Haney's push for the 36-hour weigh-in. You know what I mean? Because Loma doesn't, he just wants to make the fight. He'll agree to anything because he wanted to make that fight. They kept, the whole time up to the fight, they kept threatening to pull out over and over. It was over sticking points like that. I'm sure in the beginning, Loma said, no, man, 10-pound fucking rehydration clause. Nope, forget it. Wrap it up. I'm telling you, that's why that shit dragged out. Loma signed that contract, I think, 4 months before Haney finally signed his. What do you think those 4 months were doing? Every day there was lawyers arguing back and forth, and them walking away. And that's what. And so what we get? We got that.
Yeah, when he fought George Kambosos, I think Suleiman, the one that runs the WBC, I think he stated he rehydrated, was it 22 to 24 pounds against George Kambosos. So I could only imagine he was every bit of 160 or very close to it when he fought, Loma. So these weigh-ins are just a fucking joke at this point. They should be on the same day, or you can't get any more than 24 hours to rehydrate. Like, that's just fucking stupid. So that's my take on it. And then Conlan, he can't, I guess, punch through a wet paper bag. I mean, he's not as small of a puncher as Haney is. But, he can hurt some guys or stun them, but he's not going to be able to do enough at the world-class level to really hurt these people. And eventually he just always ends up getting caught, man, and then he gets fucking put out. So he's not a bad fighter, but something's got to change.
And you know why they did that? They wanted the early. It's not just him gaining the size. You're also fresher. The longer you have to rehydrate,
right,
the better you're going to handle a punch. So I mean, going forward, I don't know if they're going to try to pull that shit no matter who he fights or what weight class. But You know what I mean? He had to do all that. Being 11 years younger, pull that fucking, come in the ring. He was 150 if he was 100. You know what I mean? And it's just nuts that they still fucking ripped it from him.
Guaranteed. Yep. He still lost. The thing is, yeah, like you said, you know, you have all that time to rehydrate. You can sleep at least 10 hours, you know, and your brain is going to be rejuvenated and recovered. You know, you have enough time for it to take in all that fluid you're putting in your body, and you're not going to be chinny. Even then, he still got fucking hurt multiple times. It was a great fight, but, you know, the decision just fucking ruined an all-time great fight, in my opinion, at lightweight, at least. But the Conlan, man, I don't know what they're going to do with him. What do you think's next for him? Should he just take a hiatus, or should he keep trying to fight contenders for another title shot, or what? Because, man, he just can't keep these guys off of him at the world-class level. But that's just my opinion.
What do you guys think?
Yeah,
Conlan?
I don't see it. I agree. I don't see it.
No,
with Conlan.
I think it's over. No power, and then getting brutally knocked out like that twice in a span of 4.
Yeah.
It's over. I mean, I don't want to.
A young man too, Bucho. You got to stress that. Being that young of age and get knocked out brutally. It's not like he's 34, and it's because he's been in a ton of wars.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
All right, caller, we got to move on. Thanks for calling. All right?
Yeah. That's fine.
Take care, man.
All right, yeah, be good.
See ya.
Good call, man.
Good call. Yeah. 240. You're on the air. 240.
Hi, how you guys doing?
Hey, what's up, man? What's on your mind?
I just wanted to talking about Lomachenko. I just don't understand why everybody is suggesting that he should just retire. I feel like I know it must be mind-boggling. It must be crushing for him based on like everything he put in, all the work he put in, and the result. But I just feel like going back to 30. He has Joe Cordina over there. He has Navarrete. I still think there's big things for him to do in the sport. Maybe we can hope for a Tank Davis fight. I know that may be impossible, but, you know.
Mm-hmm.
What do you guys think?
Well, honestly, you ask some good questions, and I agree. I mean, I'd like to see him fight some more. I think he's that talented. I enjoyed how because I noticed the nuances shit that it does in there. It's just incredible. So it throws off people like Haney. You're not gonna see other people, but to quote that guy Trill from Trill Boxing, I mean he laid it perfectly. He said, "I hope at least everybody now sees the stupid talk with." Oh, Davis this and your boy Tank, because that's how he kept saying it. And he said it straight up. Do you realize Loma would destroy Isaac Cruz, destroy Rolly Romero? You see what he did in there, with a guy with hand speed like Haney and the footwork, like, Haney's a good boxer and shit, and it took everything to get the fucking a cheat thing, but anyways.
Haney is a good boxer. Haney is a good boxer, and Loma schooled him at 35. But yeah.
So he would wreck all those fucking dudes, all those nuts talking on Twitter about, Isaac Cruz. Isaac Cruz would probably go walking the distance with Haney, with Lomachenko too. No, he wouldn't. You kidding me? It's just so ridiculous.
Based on what?
You're not going to see a Davis fight. That's not going to
So,
happen.
guys, I just want to say one thing about the Isaac Cruz fight. I just want to say one thing. People seem to forget he was a replacement for Romero. Gervonta was supposed to fight Romero. I think Romero got in trouble, and then they bring Isaac Cruz. I don't think Isaac Cruz is an easy fight for anybody, actually. But you're right. Loma would definitely school him. I mean, like, he would take him to school. I'm not sure. They said something was wrong with Gervonta Tank Davis' hand, and apparently he still was able to, use his other hand to, kind of fight. So I'm not sure. I just want Loma to keep fighting because I think he has 2-3 more years to offer the sport.
When someone says that to you, just say this to him. Was his hand broken? No. Other than that, every fighter's hands are swollen by the end of a fight. And that's all his hand was. He might have had a deep bruise, but if it's not broken, it's not broken.
Right.
You know what I mean? So even when it's broken, unless it depends on what bone is broken, you can still throw a punch. You might definitely not put everything on it sometimes, but yeah, his hand wasn't broken. He had a deep bone bruise. So it's like, you know what I mean? That was an excuse, dude, because he doesn't do well going backwards. We've seen that even with fucking Garcia. You know what I mean? Doesn't do well going backwards. That's not his. He doesn't train to do it because he doesn't have the time to train to learn new things because his training camps half the time spent as a fat camp, and then he just works on what he does good and he just keeps working on it. But he's a shell of a fighter he was at 22 years old, and he's 28, whereas Lomachenko's 35 and still fighting at that level.
Just one more thing. I would still love to see Loma fight. I don't think it's over by any means. He's still got 3 years to offer the sport, I feel, and that'll be all for me.
All right, thanks for calling. Take care.
Yeah, the situation with him going down to 30, I think everybody in the world knows that Loma dominates at 130. So he would be champion. I mean, and I don't think he's in it for that because obviously I think that everybody knows, like, he would be a champion there. And what? He wasn't good enough to beat the guy that he actually beat, was he not? To compete. He competed and he beat those guys. He just didn't get the credit.
Yeah.
He got ripped off.
Exactly.
And Gonzalo, you guys got to understand too. And I know you guys. I'm not saying that to you guys up on the panel, but like people listening. Now that's done. So now he's the taste of Americans in American boxing. The judges here because he sees the pattern. Kovalev with Ward, Triple G with Canelo. Now him with Haney. Like it's like what the fuck, and then you get almost like you have that. Any time in life when you have a shitty thing happen to you, it's a natural urge to want to go home and be with your people. Oh, but that's right. His country's a fucking, hellscape where hundreds of thousands of people have been killed. So his headspace right now, I don't even know how he could even fucking get back into wanting to fight. Like, I would have felt just so betrayed in just so many levels. I don't know. I can't see at his age with children his age. He's got kids who are like fucking, going into teenage years. Like that's rough. I don't know how we can get for it again.
I get the feeling that some people are kind of getting comfortable and they're kind of easing into the whole idea that Haney won. You see, it's fucking weird. Like especially like with casuals, like they're not going back and rewatching the fight. They're not scoring that shit. So all of a sudden, you lose track of time and you're not watching the fight. But in your imagination, you're making it make sense according to you, and the fucking it's getting distorted. But all of a sudden, the popular opinion, more and more, Haney actually won. Haney actually won.
Yeah, no, but that's why people like us, you don't stop. Like the same thing with Ring IQ. Props to him, man. Fucking Julius, he lays it out there too. He says it every time. It was a robbery. They robbed Lomachenko of his that was his life's dream, was to be a unified champion. 35 years old. So he knows physically he's at his end. Like he had to fucking put it all. Oh man, to be in that kind of shape, taking those body shots that never sent him back. He never reacted to it. Yeah, listen, those kids, those casuals, and the people who I agree, well, whatever, I believe vast majority has nothing to do with boxing, why they're not going to fucking be honest about who won. And because you know what? You'll never hear them break the fight down, right? You'll never hear them actually talk about what happened in the fight other than some, nebulous, silly things that don't make sense. But it's personal attacks, posting pictures of them crying. But they never say they should run it back. Because if you know what I mean, if they had the integrity, like even Bill Haney, first thing out of his mouth, oh man, we won that thing easy. We won that wide. Why should we run it back? Like, dude, shut up. Just shut up. You sound like a fool. But see, they depend on that because listen, they go on podcasts. This is what it is. He's going to stay on the podcast where if you're not a member for at least 2 months, they don't let you in the chat. And if you do say something well in that chat that's even remotely questioning the narrative they're pumping, they'll just blast you right out. So he only wants the people he wants to, to repeat. Oh, yeah, no, you won. Definitely, man. You're the champ. You won that shit easy. When anybody who just really loves the sport saw it for what it was, the American, these old fucking woke or whatever, their ideology that drove that, because I don't give a shit that dude was 80 years old, 75, whatever the fuck he is. To score that 10th round for Haney is criminal. It's inexcusable. So that's a robbery.
Can I just say something?
That's the clearest sign. Sorry, Rudy. That's the clearest sign of the judge padding the score for Haney on Haney's favor. because you know that Loma's coming on strong, and the judge is probably already thinking in advance. Loma's gonna win this one. He's gonna win the next. He's gonna win the 12. Well, let me go ahead and give him this as some insurance.
And you know, I hadn't had a chance to talk about this after the fight because I haven't been on lately. But anyway, the point is, before the fight, I always used to say, or I would ask people often, like, why do you dislike Lomachenko? Like, well, how come this guy fights everybody? He doesn't make a big fuss during negotiations. He's not a trash talker. So why is the reason people dislike him? And you know, the one of the big ones is, well, he's overhyped. Which, okay, so do you dislike Shakur Stevenson? Because he's being overhyped too right now. Like the next Mayweather.
No, he's not. No, he's not. No, he's not.
Dislike him? Yeah, he's not. So, and now, like Jimmy said, after the Lomachenko fight, I saw some of these LDBC people, a lot of these LDBC channels, posting the photo of Lomachenko crying. And again, I gotta wonder, why so much vitriol against Lomachenko, but these same guys worship Gervonta Tank Davis, who is a toxic, salty character outside the ring. So it doesn't make sense. I hesitate and dislike going to the racial aspect of it, but I don't think there's any other explanation unless these people can really break it down why they dislike Lomachenko. I mean, think about it. I've heard some people say, real quick, well, I don't dislike Lomachenko, I dislike his fans. Okay, so you want to go along with a bad decision that hurts the sport just to spite a bunch of people you've never met. I mean, I don't know. That's the definition of petty.
They even go along with boring-ass fighters. They go along with fighters that stink out joints, where you have people booing, and they don't care. So they'll go along with it. It doesn't matter. They don't love the sport. That's the thing. If you work for it, it's obvious.
Bucho, can I say too, after when you're done?
Yeah.
No, finish. I'm sorry.
No, that's it. But we're going to take phone calls after that, Jimmy. So go ahead.
Okay. All right, real quick. The hypocrisy. Listen, when it was Mayweather, it's hit, don't get hit. They're all about that. Then it was suddenly Wilder, who had absolutely no talent, but it's all about the power. You know what I mean? So they would blow up their own narratives instead of just being honest about what it is. And listen, to their credit, a bunch of African American fighters were there ringside, and to a man, they all said Loma won that fight. Shakur even stepped in the ring. We have callers who are black who call in and say Loma fucking got robbed. So by no means is it all black people don't like Lomachenko, but two things can be right at the same time. Most people on Twitter, because I look at their avatars, you know what I mean? You go to their timeline, see what they're tweeting about, just to kind of tell you learn a lot about somebody, what they tweet a lot about. And it's all the same type of person. And it's either racially based or it's just a fucking unbelievable statistical anomaly that every time something terrible or some lie about Loma is tweeted, that 99.9% of the motherfuckers who retweet it and like it are black. It is what it is.
Well, it is what it is. And we know what it is. 760. You're on the air. 760. Yo, sorry, caller. We can barely hear you. It's very low.
Can't hear me or what?
No, it's very low. Muffled and low. The volume. Are you on some Bluetooth or something?
Are you under the house?
No, I'm not on Bluetooth. I'm on my phone, bro.
Fuck, I don't know why it sounds so bad.
Yeah, it sounds like you're a captive somewhere.
I can't even hear you.
Rooms.
Yeah? Hey, call back again, all right? He sounds extremely bad. Like we can. He hung up. By the way, super chat.
I can't even make out the words he was saying.
No, we couldn't continue with this. Bushido Key, thank you for your contribution. He says Haney fought 21 bombs and 9 world champions. Loma fought 1 bomb and 19 world champions. Haney needs to fight 10 more world champions without losing to talk smack. All right.
Exactly. He always has good fucking posts, Bushido.
Yeah, so good.
It's crazy because a lot of people are saying, "Oh, well, Haney came forward. Haney did things that we had never seen him do before." You don't get extra credit for that, man. You're still getting outboxed and beaten by the better fighter. So yeah, you can make it close all you want. Doesn't mean you fought a bad fight. You fought a good fight, but the other guy fought a better fight than you did. That's the name of the game. It's a competitive sport.
Exactly. Gonzalo, when one person calls you an asshole, it's an opinion. When fucking everybody in a room calls you an asshole, guess what? You're an asshole. You know what I'm saying? Perception is reality. And the people whose opinion I respect, yours, BDA's, Buchos, Steve Kim, Mario Lopez, you go right down the line, Ring IQ, Mike Montero, fucking across the never mind all the professional fighters. When you have that many people, when a Ring magazine does a poll, and right now it's at 86%, 86% going fucking Loma 1. Fight Hub TV has one up right now. It's 146,000 and 72% have Loma winning. So you just at some point, it is what it is. Hey,
you know what it is? It's racism. But you know what though? This has to be a grading Haney too. The fact that he didn't fight a bad fight. I mean, he like you said, he tried everything he could. It wasn't enough to beat a 35-year-old smaller guy, and I think that's what's grading to him. The fact that he went in there, he knows, he felt he like in his heart of hearts, he knows he didn't win. And you look at his body language. And you look at what he was telling his father in between rounds, that he knows everything I'm doing. And his father just, I kind of felt, if he wasn't such a distasteful person, I would have felt bad for the guy. Like, drop that break, like, drug dealing slang or something. And that's why I think Haney now is doubling down, because when so many people go at you on the internet, people can react two ways. One, they just leave, or two, they stay in there and they double down, because now he's taking it personal. Instead of saying, here's the smart thing. The smart thing would be, and I said this, that he should have done this right after the fight. It was a good fight. I give Lomachenko credit. He's a hell of a fighter. Let's run it back. That's it. Like when you get the generous decision, the generous end of a bad decision, fans are always gonna go against you. Like they're always like, people still blame Chavez somehow for that Whitaker fight. That it just doesn't work out. But as the fighter who received that decision, like I said, you're in a lose-lose situation. All you can really do is say, let's run it back. He fought a hell of a fight.
You don't sound confident. You don't sound confident if you don't want to run it back. You sound confident when you say, I think I beat him. In my opinion, I beat him, and I'm ready to do it again to prove that all you guys are wrong. But instead, he's like, I want to fight, and I don't want to fight him again. Like, okay, come on. Like, that's
exactly.
Not
and like Jimmy said, the fact that they're saying easy work, no rematch, is like, that's only adding fuel to the fire. And look, I don't think there's going to be a rematch, and I don't think there should be a rematch, because the judges, I wouldn't want to take another risk with those type of judges. Then again, Lomachenko's a different guy. He takes risks, so we'll see what happens. But it's interesting that he said that no rematch. And then on top of that, like I said, that's why it's important as a world-class boxer. You need to have a good, competent PR person, publicist, whatever, in your corner, because sometimes these boxers, you got to remember, these boxers, all they do is train. They're not exactly the most articulate individuals out there. They're not exactly the most media savvy, and so you need somebody to talk for you sometimes.
Yeah, BDA, and that the B side is getting none of the close rounds. Basically, you got to beat the shit out of them to get the round go your way. And going back to the effective punching, a lot of people are saying, "Oh, well, Haney's he's getting his get back. He's out hustling." But actually, if you think about it, the one that's landing first when you're trading shots, when you go in there and you meet at the center of the ring, Lomachenko was getting to him first, basically snapping his head back. And it's kind of like what we saw with Conlan and Venado. Venado lays it on you, and all of a sudden, so you won't look that bad after he hits you, you're going to respond with a 2-3 punch flurry and get your get back. But a lot of the times, that's just out of desperation. But there's a difference between a counter puncher, like let's for example, Marquez, who's actually getting his get back, but in a savage fashion. Fucking getting back and not only taking his get back, but trying to put a beating on you. And you could hear by the crowd response that they're in it. Now, was Devin Haney getting his get back in such a savage manner that you're going to call him the body snatcher? Oh, because Lomachenko snapped his head back. He retaliated with 2-3 punches, but then he took the wind out of him. Then now, he got his get back. He gets the round. I don't see it that way, because when they met at the center of the ring to initiate the exchanges, who was getting that box? Who was getting his snap back? Yeah. Once again, Haney responded, but that 2-3 pity pat respond was not good enough.
All right. Man, we can talk about this fight again all day long, but maybe we should do another show this week and I guess revisit the fight again. But yeah, we talked a lot about this before, and right now I just want to get through some phone calls here. 817, you're on the air. 817.
Hi, do you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
All right, yeah, I've been listening to you guys for a while. It's my first time calling in. I actually want to address a point you guys made earlier about like conspiracy theories, I guess, against the Mexican fighters in the UK.
Mm-hmm.
And one thing I wanted to say is I feel like the UK is using reverse psychology here to try to make Mexicans more popular in the UK.
Okay, can you explain
And
that?
the reason yeah, so here's why I think that. For one, you go on social media, YouTube, you'll just find nothing but comments talking about how Lara was screwed over and whatnot, basically, like because of this controversy with the weight and whatnot. But, you know, I've also noticed that there was another fighter, and I think an Irish guy, he got knocked out badly by a Mexican fighter. And the UK commentators literally just said, they flat out said, we keep bringing these Mexicans in and they're knocking out our boys. To me, it just seems like they're really trying to push for Mexicans to become popular in the UK. Maybe they're trying to build like some rivalry between the Mexicans and the UK fighters and whatnot. But I'm not sure why people don't really see that. To me, it just seems like they're blatantly trying to make Mexicans the underdogs in the UK and whatnot.
Caller, can I just really quick address that? I think what they're doing is they're seeing that the American market is dying. And I think they're trying to elicit, like, make it a pipeline or get Mexicans. Because if Mexicans come up to America, they're coming up to a different country. So to them, going to England, I mean, really, what's the difference other than there'll be more Mexican Americans, obviously, in America? It depends on how close they fight to the border. But I think boxing's still very popular in England. And I just, that's personally, because I started pondering that myself, because I noticed that they were really, and I thought that then, and I believe it now, that they just really want to take over what the American market's going to lose.
I mean, what they're interested in is if you think about the Irish, I think it's 11-2 in the Mexican favor in world championship fights. You could take a bunch of unheralded, titleless fighters, and the UK guys the Irish dudes will beat them. But what they really want the glory and beating a world champion. And as far as world champions, I think it's only Carl Frampton and Wayne McCullough. They're 11-2 against Mexicans, and I don't know what's the tally and the scores for the UK guy, for the British guys. But yeah.
Well, if you want to woo if you want to woo the American audience, who you target? The Mexican Americans. Because in this country, it's Mexico and Mexican Americans that are the lifeline blood of this sport here. And nobody can deny that. So I think that's why they're really doing that too.
I do want to say it just doesn't seem like a coincidence that all of a sudden we're just getting all these Mexican fighters going to the UK. And in a lot of cases, they're beating the UK fighters, and the commentators seem to just subtly, point that out to everybody, all while pretending to be, like, I guess, against the Mexican fighters and whatnot. So not only that, but it's just crazy how there's so many comments on YouTube, talking about all this controversy and how Lara was screwed. But I'm trying to think of Terrence Crawford. He's done these things where he's, had, Kell Brook dehydrated to where he was a skeleton. And where the hell were all the comments, talking about that? It's just weird how YouTube, works that way, where you get these thousands of comments like that. And to me, it just seems like the powers that be, they always want to control the narrative, or, just have a certain narrative go their way and whatnot. I don't mind Mexicans, becoming popular in the UK. That's better than guys like Okoli or whatever. So just wanted to point that out. I think it's all just reverse psychology. I think this is just to
you got an interesting
Mexican
theory,
boxing.
but who knows, man? Maybe Jimmy's right as well with his theory. Caller, we gotta move on. We got another caller, right?
All right, take care.
Take care, man. Interesting theory. Who knows? 347. You're on there at
You can see
347.
it here, 347. Oh, that's Los Angeles. That's the voice.
Hey, what's up, guys? How you doing?
Hey, what's up, man? What's on your mind?
This is NPR. Good speaking with you again. And I just want to talk about a certain technique that Lopez did the other day. It's called a catch-all shift. Now, we saw him do these against Conlan, rather. We saw him do these these looping underhanded shots, uppercut shots. But one of the techniques that works is catch-all shift, and that is you throw your lead left, right, and then you take a step with your right, and you walk forward as you punch. And I just wanted to throw that out there as that being one of the effective tools of how he was able to close distance so fast. And that's it. I just wanted to point that quick technique out to you guys. All right, guys, take care.
All right. Good breakdown there. Thanks for calling, NPR.
Mickey Ward.
Later.
Yeah, take it easy, NPR. No, Mickey Ward, that was one of his best punches. He was awesome at that.
Yeah.
He wasn't like physically skilled at many punches, but the body punch and that drag punch where you kind of like start with your left as you move to your left, but then you pull your right out and you pull it along. So you obviously you're checking the left hand with your eyes, and then the right comes across and catches you. He worked on that for years. No, it's a dangerous punch if you can get it off, but if you don't and they see it coming, you're leaving yourself open.
Well, credit for him for trying that. A lot of guys won't do that move.
Yeah,
they're just scared.
Yeah, the problem with that, not everybody's gonna notice it like NPR and Jimmy did. They're gonna say it's just sloppy. It's something that
wild.
he's throwing.
Yes. Yeah, you don't do that. You don't when you're moving. You keep no. You can throw a right hand like when you're moving to the left or whatever. I mean, it's people just don't have balls, man. That's the thing. They don't have balls. Some of these boxers they play too safe. Just play too safe.
And, and that's the 12 and 14 professional fights. Like, you know what I mean? You become a gym rat. Like, Marvin Hagler said, man, it's all those fucking days in the dungeon is what made him a great fighter. All the sparring sessions he used to have. I'm not trying to knock each other out either, like they try to put on, Instagram today. These guys are trying to actually learn shit in there, and you got to practice it. You get good at it, and it just becomes second nature. These guys you don't see second nature. That's why when you see a lot of these guys hurt, they don't know what to do. They don't reach out to tie the dude up or nothing because they're just like shit that you learn in the gym. They just don't even know yet. Just a bad product, bro. And when we have good fights, they're fucking robbing the guy who won. It's just sport can't keep taking this,
I agree.
Because they'll say, "Oh, well, it was such a close fight that it's not a robbery," but that just makes it easier for people to get away with robbing somebody, because then they can say, well, that's like the perfect excuse, the perfect disguise. It was so close that it could have gone either way. I hate that fucking saying. It could have gone either. What do you mean by that? It could have gone either way. So it could have gone to that guy, but it could have gone to this guy too. But then the end of the day, you have to pick one guy if you don't have it a draw. So how could it gone either way? What does that even mean? What the fuck does that mean?
And it's just pushing a narrative because it wasn't close. If you actually look at it, Haney was landing one shot at a time. Really, I mean, once he would make that body shot, he would back out. It wasn't like he was following it up to the left upstairs and over the top. He would get out of there. But when Loma finally got in the corner a couple of times, you give him a shoe shine to the head. He was eating that straight left. Loma's punches physically affected him. You could actually see the effect on him in his mannerisms and how he took it. Even got goofy legged a couple of times. At no point did he push Loma back with his punches because Loma was like, oh shit, I'm getting hurt. I got to fuck get out of here. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was just so ridiculous. So the whole body punch, it was a lot of body punches. Yeah, then why was he the fresher guy? I'll admit that I was pissed about the way he took that 12th round. I felt he fucking left that. He could have definitely he should have fucking emptied the tank. I don't understand his philosophy behind that, but that's on him. I think, honestly, he thought he had it won. Why risk hurting, doing something to get maybe caught and fucking knocked down or something? Because I think in his head, that's how far ahead he was in that fight. that he could cruise the 12th round. Now, I just got to say this one last point, and this can't be under fucking scored enough. Going into that fight, Vegas had him a 3-1 underdog. Okay? Going into the 12th and final round of the fight, because you can bet between rounds, and they had him a 5-1 to win. That means Haney needed, according to Vegas, knockout to fucking beat Lomachenko. Okay? And that's just not one fucking dude. That's like a census of dudes who know what they're talking about. Vegas isn't usually wrong. And that's how fucking much they saw the domination in the last rounds, what it were. And it's, you know what I mean? Again, you can go to these other channels and just a lot of talk. I mean, Cece the Great, you heard her. She actually blamed him for the fight. I'm actually going to post it in the chat instead of explaining. Maybe Mr. BDA can post it because it's unbelievable that this is what she brought up in defense of Haney winning.
Yeah, hey, Jimmy, I was gonna say, like, somebody, there's a comment. It's like, I'm kind of being like, look, I'm not retarded. I know what a close fucking round is. What I'm saying is, what does a swing round fucking mean? That's a swing round. What does that fucking mean? In other words, when it's a swing round, it's only swinging one fucking way, and we know what side that is too. So what does that mean? You can do a 10-10. You can do by a 10-point must system. You can have a clear winner, 10-9. But if you're saying that's a swing round, but all the fucking swing rounds are going one way only, is it really a swing round?
Exactly. Then there's something there. And then one judge has it 116, 112. Something fishy right there. But guys,
which is funny because that's I believe the main score, right? No, 8-4. Most of the professional fighters, when they did call rounds, like Keyshawn Davis, Shakur Stevenson, they said 8-4 Loma. 8-4. How's that a close fight? You know what I'm saying? That's what probably Loma had in his head. That's why he cruised in the 12th round. That's how ahead he thought he was. You know, shame on him for thinking that, but he just probably never thought they'd rob him like that. So it's just, yeah. But again, one thing you won't hear coming from these motherfuckers, run it back. Or how come they're not calling on Shakur Stevenson? He basically went in the ring after your biggest win of your career, you know what I mean, and fucking pissed on your fire and gave you the finger. Stood in your ring that you fled from because your hometown crowd was booing so loud you wanted to get the fuck out of there. And Shakur Stevens steps in your place and insults you. So if I was you, I'd want to punch him in the face. But you're not. But Bill Haney's explaining, oh, no. There was no agreement that we have to fight Shakur. Like, you serious, dude? You move like a fucking weasel. Fuck.
Yeah. And you one more thing, Jimmy, to add. I'm listening to everything you're saying. I just wanted to finish it off with like the swinging of the. I know only one thing that swings, and it's fucking to the left. Hey, what I was gonna say, dude, if it's really a fucking swing round, give some to the other guy. Give more to your guy if you fucking want. Don't fucking have it like where they're only going one way. And if you do that, if you give just basically just some to the other guy will win, and your guy will fucking lose. That's just a fact.
It's also the fact that the guy who is probably 20 pounds lighter than him, okay, who's 11 years older, pushed the pace, landed the more effective punches. You know what I'm saying? Outthrew you too. So we outpunched him, outlanded him, landed the more effective punches, pushed the pace. I mean, there's the reason why, like, guys like Mario Lopez, man, he was like physically angry by it. You could tell he kind of was angry with Joe Tessio because Joe Tessio was on the 3 knockdown rule. You know, he wanted to push that it was such a good fight, and boxing was the winner of this. The same fucking stupid shit that what's his name was saying, Lou DiBella. Well, at the end of the night, boxing come out the winner. No, it isn't. You fuck.
So now, Jimmy, now you can't call out bad decisions. You gotta go and say, well, you know, it was a close fight. It was a good fight. Everybody won. No, you if there's a robbery, you have to call it out. Is it the first robbery that we get in boxing? Of course not. But what does that? Okay, so you guys, because some people are saying, why are you complaining? There's always robberies in boxing. Okay, so we should just ignore it. Let's move on. That's what you guys want us to do. Like, just ignore it. It's just another robbery. Like, this is disgusting. Disgusting. By the way,
I guarantee the guys who are saying that are the ones who believe Haney won.
Yeah, exactly. That's
Yeah,
the
it's
guys
like
who
a
wanted to,
robbery.
they're the ones that are saying it was a close fight, could have gone either way. Why are you crying? It's not the first robbery that
Because
happens.
they don't want nobody talking about
Just
it.
exactly.
They
Just
want, like Gonzalo
don't
said,
talk
to
about
slip
it.
into fucking.
Don't talk about it.
Yeah, don't talk about it. Eventually, it'll just be up. Haney won. No, he didn't.
Their
And the
predictions
reason
was
why
Haney
he's
was going to
responding
win.
the way he is on Twitter.
Their prediction
What's
was
that,
Haney was
Pucho?
going to win. Go ahead. What Twitter?
If you're a catch,
All right,
if you
hold on,
work in a
guys.
job
Let
that
me
makes
read
a lot of money and
let me
you're
read a
controlling
super
the
chat
cash
here.
register.
Let me read a super chat. I'm famous. He says, "Did you guys see the Jabber AI stats on Discord? Those stats pretty much prove our point." I haven't. What was it? This whole AI thing that counted the punches. I don't understand it. I don't know if you guys know about it. Artificial intelligence.
Yeah, and I guess on their punch scoring, that Loma definitely won. I went back and watched it. I even watched it in slow motion on the punches I wasn't too sure on, just to make sure that I wasn't like, being hyperbole about what I saw. Oh, wait, when you slow it down, it was even more obvious. Like I said, because things happen so fast, and a lot of those punches Loma was landing, I didn't even see the first time around. And at the end of the fight, I had it 7-5. And it was, we got to rewatch it, right? So before, I rewatch it. Now I've seen it 4 times. And the last 2, I rarely watch it. You can't see, if someone was to sit down next to me and say, let's go through this fucker round by round, you're going to tell me how fucking Haney won that round. Tell me. The 10th round, they can't. They just have to say, oh, the judge fucked up. That's not a fuck up. You know what I'm saying? Like, how can you say that's what you do for work? That's like building a house and the guy, the framer, didn't use nails and half the shit or screws. 3 days in, the house collapses. Just, made a mistake. It's just so ridiculous.
Yeah, it was less quality, man. It's like I said, when you're coming out of the corner and you're meeting in the middle, when you come out strong, fucking cock strong, let's fucking meet at the center of the ring. Let's fucking exchange punches. The guy that's landing first and landing with the momentum and the power is Lomachenko. Now, once Lomachenko lands, the other guy's, okay, well, yeah, he's coming in strong too. He's going to get a little get back with 2-3 pity pats to even it out, to give the impression to the judges. Look, I took it back. I took the round back. Really? You took it back? Did you? How so? Every time you met in the center of the ring, when the action started, you lost exchanges because that guy's more talented than you. So take that into consideration. Who initiated? Who pressed? But no, that doesn't count. The other guy got his little get back with 2-3 pity punches, and he's the body snatcher now. Really? And some of the rounds were close, but they're only swinging that way.
Yeah, he
have them to go to Lomachenko. You lose. Give him 2 of the rounds out of the 6.
And Gonzalo, when you're having a hard time getting a guy's timing, right? What does your corner say to you every time since you're a little kid going through the gloves? What they'll tell you, if you're having a hard time hitting a dude in the head because of his movement, you can't get his timing, go to the body. Look at his chest. Punch for his chest. And that's all the fucking Haney was doing.
It's like a weapon.
Yeah, exactly.
Weapons, right? That the round tends to arc up. But if you shoot to the chest, if you miss, maybe you're landing one to the head. The chest is a bigger target. Put 2 to the chest, 1 to the head. A lot of times if you shoot for the head, but the dude's moving up and down, bending the knees, ducking under and around, you're gonna miss the head. But if you shoot to the chest, you got a chance of maybe hitting the head.
Or the arms too. Right? Anything, any contact.
All right, guys, we gotta end the. I think the connection fucked. No, guys, we need to end the show. All right, it's been almost 3 hours, but thanks for joining us. All right, thanks for joining the show.
All right, Mr. Bucho.
All right. Yeah. Anything else? Any closing comments? Any closing comments?
Nope, that's it. I'm just gonna I'm with Gonzalo. I'm not. When Lomachenko's mentioned, I'm never gonna be nice to anybody calls into the show and tries to say, because it's gonna happen. You're gonna get the it doesn't matter what anybody says. He's got the win. Yeah, okay, dude. All right. But you know what? I'm not fucking shit like that. And if he doesn't think that's not gonna affect shit going forward, when you have like Yahoo Sports already kicked him off their top 10 pound for pound list and replace him with Lomachenko, because people are just. It's like, no, and I'm telling you right now, it's always been robberies in fucking boxing. Really? That blatant? Because I think that is blatant as Ward, Kovalev, Triple G1, Canelo. I'm thinking back, man, I was around for all those big fights. I don't remember robberies like that. Seriously,
Jimmy, should we do
fights?
should we do a show this week where we talk about this fight again, or like what do you guys
I
think?
would, because I'd like somebody to call. I would like people to call and explain what fucking he did. But before you go to Bucho, well, I know you can't play it, but before you hang up, I'll talk to you off. But did you watch that video with her?
Out here in America,
What she says there?
I'm gonna play it for everybody to see.
Oh, here it is. Yeah, play it, dude. It's awesome.
All right, go ahead, Gonzalo. I'm gonna.
If you're at your job and you're working the register, yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, and you're at the register, or somebody's in the register, and they're like stealing $20 a day, and the company's raking in a lot of money, but then nobody notices. Does that mean that's not a robbery, or that you're still stealing? You're fucking stealing.
Exactly.
You're still stealing, man, but nobody's noticing that shit. But here, with one bad decision that's kind of razor close, by a little, it has big repercussions. The guy didn't get his just victory. He deserved to win that one. Hey, but what can I say, man? It's like whatever.
Excellent point.
I'm trying to show this video to everybody in the chat.
Yeah, you guys have to watch this. Now, this is what is being said on Haney's side. This is when discussing why, Haney won that fight. Just keep that in mind. Now, play that sucker. It's unbelievable.
All right, we're gonna play the video right now.
Out here in America that's impoverished. You know what I'm saying? But Lomachenko ain't never went on no motherfucking street in California, LA, passed out no motherfucking meals or any motherfucking thing. Yeah, he brought his bony motherfucking ass over here to take money from y'all motherfucking mamas, daddies, and grandmas from their social security so they can fund the motherfucking war in Ukraine.
Interesting. So now she's getting older. They're breaking this down now. So he's the enemy now, right? Lomachenko.
Yep.
Amazing.
Isn't that funny how fucking, what's so funny too? In Haymanite's Twitter space, some dude, another fucking just totally go to his timeline was just disgusting when all anti-racist shit was crazy. But yeah, no, so she basically said she's blaming people are out here impoverished, and yet Lomachenko brought his bony ass over here to take your mothers, grandmothers, and daddies' social security.
What?
Himself.
Yeah. By losing the fight, by getting robbed. That's how he stole from her and everybody else and every American. Like, that doesn't make any sense.
She's blaming him. Person, when you go on a rant where you have to actually start talking about the $100 billion being funding to the Ukrainian war and putting that on Lomachenko.
Yeah, exactly. It's another topic.
Like, how could you even say something so stupid?
Oh my God!
Yeah,
by the way, in the chat, I want to read a super chat from
United
Famous.
States is an ambassador.
Hold on, just quickly. I'm Famous says, all these super chat, thank you. He says, all these guys must think Canelo beat Lara. That's real body work. Exactly. Canelo was lying in body shots. Nobody cared about those. Go ahead, Gonzalo.
Yeah, boxing is a world sport. And if the United States caters to all these countries that come over here, and the United States is like an ambassador, they should act classy. And I'm not talking about everybody, just some people ruin it. They should be honored to have all these world champions from different countries coming over there. Mexico, Ukrainians, Kazakhstan dudes, like from whatever, man. That's a privilege because they're putting their talent on display for us to see. And it's not like they're coming over here just because they're second-class citizens. No, it's a privilege. I know that sounds corny as fuck, but in like the sport that I like, I value that.
It's the mecca of boxing.
In every aspect, brother, we're losing it on the world stage, whether it's politically, financially. People look at that like, think about it. How you think Ukrainian, Eastern European, you think these people are going to still want to keep coming over here and dealing with this shit? Like America, hey, we get to set the rules and we'll fucking steal from you guys victories out of your fucking hands because we want American fighters, you know what I mean, or North American fighters to have that shit. That's the reason why, Dubai, Right? They're rolling the money. They want that kind of shit. They'll cater to that. Why? Everybody thinks that it's just secure here in this country. We're about to cut boxing from the Olympics. All right? That's insane. Like, that used to be the reason people watch the Olympics. So this the sport in itself in the United States, where it's fizzling here, it's growing elsewhere. So I don't see why. I wouldn't be surprised in 20 years if it's no longer the mecca for boxing, that it's either in the Middle East or somewhere in Europe. Because why have it here?
That's Saudi Arabia, United Arab Emirates, Qatar, whatever. Those places could be real competition to the United States eventually for because they have the money and they're willing to put in the money, basically. Never Sober, thank you for your super chat. He says Loma stole Cece's, or I don't know her name is, Cece's Social Security that she stole from grandma. So that's why she's angry, because Loma's stealing her Social Security.
Never Sober, she actually did steal. She was on a manhunt across the country. She was on Chicago News, Atlanta News. She was a part of a big credit card ring that they would steal people's identity and then go charge tens of thousands of dollars on their credit. Like I don't know if anybody's ever had that. I've, thank God, never had it happen to me personally, but I know friends. And it destroys your life. Fucking destroys your life. If you have good credit, you know what I mean? You own homes and shit. It takes a lot of money to get that shit cleaned up. So she did that without a fucking, she brags about it on the prison stories. You know what I mean? So like, this is what you're dealing with, you know?
And by the way,
she combat that.
She shows up on a channel that has thousands and thousands of subscribers. So this isn't some fringe, hidden channel. This is a big channel, so there's a lot of demand for that type of content. Bushido Ki, thank you for your contribution. He says Lomachenko stole her EBT card. Probably. I mean, this is disgusting, to be honest. But these are the people that don't care about the robbery. They don't want to talk about it.
And brother, that's just a snippet. That's just a snippet of her rant. Everything she said, she would go and just swing in the air, like just missing. Lomachenko did this. That doesn't mean a motherfucker won. And then she talked about how she was dressed to rumble, and everybody went by that she saw them giving her the stink eye. So she was trying to check to see if there's any of the people who run their mouth on social media, and she was dressed to rumble, and nobody wanted no part of her.
So, all right. On this note, Jimmy, we should have a show that. With a title that says, or asks the question, how did Devin Haney win this fight? And see who calls in and tell us how he won that fight.
Yeah, break it down for us.
All right, let's set that up this week. All right, guys, thanks for being on Discord and helping me out with the show. Really appreciate it. Take care. Everybody in the chat, thank you for being on the show, hitting the like button, and for everybody who super chatted. Thank you very much. By the way, I can actually see now everybody who super chatted. I'm Famous, thank you. Senpai Leo as well. Thank you very much. I'm Famous. Bushido Ki, I think I already said his name. No, Bushido Ki, thank you. And Never Sober, thank you for your contributions. And yeah, I'm going to promote the BDA gaming channel. We have a video game channel that's going to be streaming maybe tonight. Link is in the description of the video. Link is in the chat right now. Subscribe if you are into video games. Also, let's talk about which video games I should play, or we could play. If we could play a game like a bunch of us online, and while I stream it, that'd be fun as hell. All right. So, having said that, thank you very much. We will see you. Yeah, I added you on Steam, by the way. Never. All right, guys. See ya.
I'm disappointed in every one of you.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to offend you.
I'm disappointed in every one of you.
I kiss you on the mouth.
No, I'm not cool with that. Just, I'm sorry.
One more time.
I'm disappointed in every one of you.
I mean, I'm dealing with degenerate animals.
I'm disappointed in everyone. Totally fucking disappointed in everyone.
All right, come on.
Honestly, I can't do it, man. I'm disappointed in everyone.
Let me tell you why.
It's gonna be all right, Nicky. Go ahead, shoot.
He just killed a little fucking man.
What are you going to do about it?
Yeah, because you got nothing. You don't got a thing. Yeah, because you got nothing. Lomito! Got nothing.
I want to get out of this rat hole. I want to get online. I need
BDA Boxing.